I'm sure we'll have people tell us if it's not working or whatever, but I think we should be okay. All right, it's taken its time. All right, it looks like we're almost live. I'll just have to change my video settings on here so I'm not using up all the... All right. I think we're good. I'm sure somebody will tell us if this is not working. We'll just have to wait until we get some actual viewers. But hang on, let me just check everything is okay. Why is my... Of course, this is dropping out now. As soon as I hit stream, the internet shits itself. Why are you doing that? Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, no. I think we've got better. Plug this back in. Sorry guys, whoever's watching. All right. Is it all working? Can you guys hear us? Eric, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, this is Eric, the Asian movie enthusiast.
All right. Can you guys hear that? If you can't, please let me know. I appreciate it. I'm going to crack open a beer because I'm an alcoholic, as we all know. I'm not. I'm just Australian. That's my excuse. It's working. Can you guys hear Eric okay? Can somebody respond?
It's a pleasure, a real pleasure to be here tonight.
Working fine. Okay, you hear both of us. Excellent. So before we get started, just to bring the mood down a lot, sorry guys, but I don't know, are you a fan of AC/DC, Eric, or not really?
Oh, I've listened to some of their stuff, but I've mentioned before on my channel that movies take up so much of my time that I've kind of fallen out of the loop with music, but yeah, I definitely respect them.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Malcolm Young, the rhythm guitarist slash songwriter, basically, from AC/DC, passed away over the weekend. He was 64. He had dementia. So he left AC/DC, I think about 5 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago, and he went into a nursing or a special care home in Sydney, or they had people live, like his wife and his kids had special help to help him out, and he passed away. And he was the reason I learnt guitar, basically. So when I was 14, I bought my first guitar. I saved up all my pocket money and from doing all the chores around the house and stuff. And I bought a really crappy guitar. And I remember I went to a shop called Toombul Music, which hasn't existed in probably about 15 years. And there was this little book, and it was a chord book, and it was the AC/DC chord book. And it had a picture of Angus and Malcolm Young on the front cover. And it was all the chords to play the rhythm parts of AC/DC songs. So that was the reason he's the reason I play guitar, basically. Like I'm a big fan of the old school stuff, like their 70s stuff from like 74 to before, like the Australian stuff, I'll say. So when they were technically still an Aussie band and Bon Scott was the lead singer, and they were, you know, Highway to Hell was Bon Scott's last album. And then of course they got Brian Johnson, and then they made Back in Black, and the rest is history. But yeah, I just want to say this isn't dedicated to him or anything, because I don't see the point in dedicating a stream about Korean actresses to the guy, but I just wanted to acknowledge his influence on my life as a musician, basically. So yeah, let's get this show on the way. Top 10 South Korean actresses. Eric and I spoke before we went live, and basically we don't want this to be a oh my God, she's so hot thing. So we'd appreciate it in the comments if you guys just, acted like gentlemen. Of course, we've said in previous live streams, and I've said, oh, I like this actress, she's really cute or whatever. And that's true. I'm not going to lie. Like, there are a few of these actresses on my list I do find incredibly attractive, but that's not what this video is about. The video is about celebrating, their contribution to South Korean films. So, Eric, we're not doing an honorable mentions because I kind of wanted to keep this really tight this time. So let's start with you. Who is your number 10?
All right. So my number 10, after a lot of thinking, I'm going with Chae-won Moon. She was the lead actress in War of the Arrows. And she was also in a few really good, really entertaining romantic comedies in recent memory. Love Forecast and Mood of the Day. I would say that one of the main reasons why she made this list is because I've seen a few of her K-dramas, and this girl is kind of a big-time pillar of the contemporary K-drama landscape. I mean, she was in a show called The Painter of Wind, which was really good, Brilliant Legacy, which was really good, My Fair Lady, which I really liked, and then a few more. And she actually has won Best Actress awards like multiple times for her television work. So, and also she won Best Actress for War of the Arrows. So the one thing that really impressed me the first time I really grew, I guess, familiar with her, because I had watched two of these K-dramas within a month of each other back in the day, and she was a supporting actress in them. And there was one called, Brilliant Legacy, where she plays the daughter of this wicked, stepmother, but she played it with nuance. She didn't go over the top with, her evil nature or whatever. She played it with a little complexity, and I really appreciated that. So I really think this actress needs to get a little bit more love on the international level, maybe, so that's why she's number 10 on my list.
Nice. Well, you've watched a lot more K-dramas than I have, so I think she slipped under my radar a little bit. Obviously, I love War of the Arrows. I think she's awesome in that movie. And I love that movie because she's not she's a little bit of a damsel in distress, but she does hold her own in that film. And I like the fact that she plays the sister. It's not like some guy going after his beloved or something. I liked the rapport those actors have in that film. And yeah, it's a good pick for top 10. She's somebody that I haven't seen in too many films. Has she just mainly done TV? Is that pretty much?
Yes, I actually printed out filmographies for this.
Right.
So
Oh, wow.
So she did a lot of TV, and only maybe 3 or 4 live action films.
Right. So 3 or 4 motion pictures, the rest is TV. Does she have a background in singing or anything like that? A lot of these, a couple on my list, try and have their fingers in every pot, basically.
I'm not sure. When I was looking at her bios and stuff, I did not see a history in singing, but I could be wrong.
Right. Cool. Well, my number 10 is somebody that, I'll be honest, I haven't seen her in a lot of stuff. I've seen her in maybe 2 or 3 movies, but I saw her in a movie recently, and I think it's one of the best performances of the year. And one of Kim Ji-woon's first films, she's in that, and she's absolutely hilarious. She's 75 years old. It's Na Moon-hee. And those of you who haven't seen I Can Speak, I highly recommend that movie. She was amazing in that film. She come across as the cranky old woman who has to get her nose in everyone's business. And then the film, spoiler alert, has kind of a twist halfway through. And just the balance that she has. She can play that. I've seen her in, was it Miss Granny that she was in? Was it her that was in that movie?
Maybe.
One of those. She kind of gets typecast a little bit now that she's old. And I think she's somebody that's had a career for like the past 50 years, and she does a lot of television as well. But the films I've seen her in, I've enjoyed it. I don't like that she gets typecast as the funny, quirky grandma, but she's awesome in The Quiet Family as well. You must remember her from that, Eric.
Yes, I do.
Have you got anything you want to say about Na Moon-hee?
Yeah, I just fired up her filmography here online. Her face, when I saw your review of I Can Speak, I saw when you put up the pictures, the face immediately rang a bell.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed her in a lot of the stuff that she's been in. She was in Voice of a Murderer as well. And also, yes, Miss Granny. So you're right.
Was the
yeah,
one.
She's very she gives a lot of very reliable performances, I'll say that much. And she tends to get a little bit of an emotional response out of me too. So that definitely says something for an actress.
Yeah, well, if you watch I Can Speak, you'll definitely get an emotional response from that performance. She's so great in that movie. And I think she might be nominated for an award here in Australia. I think there's an awards ceremony. I think it's the Asia Pacific Film Awards. And I think because Australia is part of like the Asia Pacific region, they do like this awards for like Australian films and anything else in that kind of area. And I've got a feeling I read somewhere that she's been nominated for Best Actress for that. I could be wrong. Somebody might want to look it up quickly, but you know, maybe she might come to Brisbane. I don't know, but I think she's nominated. I'll have to check that out, but she definitely deserves it. And if there's like,
I look forward to seeing that one. Definitely.
Yeah, I said something during the video when I filmed that review about some people that will definitely, anytime I do a movie review, I don't know if you've had this, where it involves Korea and Japan, and then you get the angry Japanese that come on and they just say horrible things, because clearly all these women are making this up, Eric.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure, like, and it's not, if you look into it, it's not just Korean women, it's like European women, Chinese women. It's like people that have no connection with each other it's like the Weinstein thing.
Yeah. Well, I just watched for the second or third time The City of Life and Death not too long ago, which is another one with related to China. So
yeah, cool. So you're number 9.
All right, we're down to number 9. Now, this one is another one where you're going to have a blend of theatrical films and K-dramas, because this actress has been in a handful of theatrical films, but her best film was Castaway on the Moon, and I'm talking about Ryeo-won Jeong.
Mm-hmm.
So, young lady who actually grew up in Brisbane,
Australia.
Right? Yeah. And, her performance in Castaway on the Moon, she could make my list for that performance alone, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's one of the best performances of the last 10 years. She was just fantastic. Her other theatrical films have not been up to that same quality. She has been in a few entertaining and unorthodox romantic comedies. There's one called Two Faces of My Girlfriend, and then another one called Never Ending Story, which has nothing to do with the American fantasy
I was just going, ah.
But her K-drama work is impressive. She won awards for History of the Salaryman and The Lord of Dramas, which are both very entertaining. So she has that resume about her as well. The one thing I like about her is they're able to express so much with her mannerisms, because she didn't talk a whole lot in Castaway on the Moon, at least, for most of the film. And she expressed so much emotion and feeling. So, yeah, I love her. I'll watch her in anything.
Cool. Yeah, she was actually, I had a list, and obviously, when we make these lists, you have to cut some things. And she was on my list, and I had to cut her only for the fact that I've only seen her in Castaway on the Moon. And her performance just blew me out of the water, because I was just like, oh my God, this girl's amazing. How come I haven't seen her in other stuff? And obviously, yeah, she does a lot of the TV work. And as everyone knows, I don't have time to do the TV stuff, but I'd like to see her. Like, she's somebody that should be massive, like in feature films as well. She should have a huge career. She should have a career here in Australia. Like, she should, I don't know. Australia's, you don't even want to get started on how the Australian film industry works, but they just do stupid
She
things
should
all
do
the time.
that though, because she's very proficient in English.
Oh, she
She
would be,
actually
yeah.
spoke, yeah, she spoke English in one of her K-dramas. My Name is Kim Sam-soon, and she spoke it excellently, and she spoke it throughout much of that K-drama. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, judging by her acting ability, if, and the fact that she grew up in Australia, she probably could do a decent Aussie accent, but who knows? If you're making it in Korea, though, maybe you don't need to come to Australia. Let's face it. Okay, my number 9 is somebody that I watched through a TV show, but not a Korean one. An American TV show, and that is Yun-jin Kim, who was in Lost.
Nice.
Look, I really liked the first 2 or 3 seasons of Lost. I think I fell into that. It was just a perfect time for a show like that, and it kept you guessing every week, and it hooked you, and it had such a great cast and so many great characters. And I liked Eunjin Kim and Daniel Day Kim. I thought they had great chemistry together throughout that show. Now, I stopped watching it after about season 5, when it became really obvious that they had no idea what the hell they were doing. They just had written themselves into a corner and, yeah, what do we do? But she's one of those people that I watched years and years ago, and I never really had a second thought about it. I was just like, oh, this is this Korean woman that's in this Lost show. I like Lost. She's good in the show. And then as I started, going deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole of South Korean cinema, obviously more and more of her films popped up. Things like 7 Days is fantastic. She's great in that. The Neighbors. She was recently in House of the Disappeared. I thought that movie was okay, but she was great in it. Ode to My Father, she's fantastic. She's done a lot for, I think, internationally for South Korean cinema, particularly through Lost. And obviously there's another actress that'll definitely be on this list that has done even more internationally to promote that. But I think she's really, yeah, she's good. She was in Shiri, right? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
That is correct.
Yeah. So that was kind of like one of her breakthrough roles. That's a movie I haven't revisited in quite some time, and I need to watch it again because quite a few people have requested that one from me. But Eric, your thoughts on Yun-jin Kim?
Yeah, that was actually I didn't really watch Lost, unbelievably. That was during the time frame when I was working a lot of hours, so I didn't really have time to watch television.
Yeah.
But yeah, she made her impression on me with Shiri. It was one of the first handful of South Korean films that I saw. And the thing that really impressed me about that film was its emphasis on romance in an action film, which I'm not that familiar with here in America. Like, at least a really strong romance in a film like that. And it was very important aspect of it. And she really impressed me in that film. Her performance was great. And then I ended up seeing her in some films like 7 Days, which I really liked. It was a great thriller. Some of the other ones you talked about. She was also in a film called Ardor, I think, which was kind of a little bit on the sultry side. And that was a very good performance, too. So, yeah, very good choice. Looking at her filmography, I don't know what she's doing lately here.
Yeah.
House of the Disappeared and...
Well, she did House of the Disappeared, and then after that, she hasn't really got a very big filmography.
No.
She's in a show called Mistresses, apparently. I'm guessing that's a Korean show. Lost obviously took up a hell of a lot of, when you're a main character on a massive TV show, 88 episodes she was in of that. So, what are you going to do? Oh, Heartbeat was another good film she was in. I remember that, liking that. Diary of June, she had a smallish but integral role. she has a pretty, like, you look at her filmography, like, she hasn't done a lot. She kind of does like one film a year, basically. And it's pretty impressive. There isn't like a lot of, like, most of it's pretty reasonable. Like, it's not like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people's filmographies where you look at it and you go, well, that was garbage, that was garbage, that was garbage. Like, she's got a couple of things on there that I think are mediocre, but if that's the worst thing you can say about somebody's filmography, then I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Your next pick. So it's number 8.
All right, I'm going with an actress called by the name of Hyo-jin Kong. She was in Family Ties, Crush and Blush, and Boomerang Family are my favorites of her filmography. She also was in recently, I think you saw this one, Missing from 2016.
Yes.
And yeah, so she's got, and also she has some K-drama work that's been really good as well. Pasta, which is one of my favorites involving food. So the thing about this actress, she has a very grounded type of acting style about her. She's almost like an indie actress, is like the type of style of acting that she has. I almost relate her to Doudna Bay a little bit in that sense, where she's willing to do the everyday woman roles and play that type of thing, and play it with nuance and complexity. She's also good at playing characters that are a little bit odd. Like Crush and Blush is a great example. She's definitely oddball, but her acting style grounds the character very well, so you can relate to her, even though she's pretty weird. So yeah, I think this is another actress that deserves a little bit more like attention. Oh, and another thing, she moved to Australia in her junior high years and then moved back to Korea. So here's another one here.
Another one.
Made a little trip.
How long was she in Australia for, though?
Probably a small handful of years.
Nah. Look, I liked her in Missing. I honestly haven't seen her in a lot of stuff. But the funny thing is, like, when I reviewed The Outlaws, was it last week or the week before? One of the first films I reviewed when I got back to Brisbane, there was the whole Ma Dong-suk thing, and everybody's saying, oh, he's Korean American. It's like, and then I actually looked into it. He's not Korean American. And when somebody says Korean American, to me, that sounds like their parents were Korean and they were born in Korea. Right? Is that what you would say? If you were saying, I'm a Korean American, it would be more like, well, I was born here, but my background, like my parents, grandparents are from Korea. He just moved to America when he was like in his late teens, early 20s, and he did some like training there and trained some people through his personal training stuff. But apparently he managed to get some form of citizenship or something. So technically that makes him Korean American, but that's like me saying I'm Aussie British because I lived in Manchester for 5 years when I was younger. Like,
Yeah.
Not really. So, but anyway, I'm going off topic here. All right, my number 8 is somebody I suspect might be on your list, but maybe a little bit higher. I've got Kim Sae-ron. Obviously, she was fantastic. She's like 17 or 18 now. And she was in The Man from Nowhere. Amazing in that. A Girl at My Door. She was fantastic in that. What was the other one? What was the one where she was
The Neighbors?
The Neighbors, yeah, of course. She played a dual role in that. She did a lot of stuff really young. Obviously, A Brand New Life was her first film. Manhole was pretty rubbish in my opinion, but she was great. She played like a mute in that film from memory. So for somebody that's so young, she has done so much. A Girl at My Door, she is fantastic in that film. Absolutely fantastic. But obviously, yeah, Brand New Life, The Man from Nowhere, The Neighbor or Neighbors, whatever you want to call it. I haven't seen any of her television work, but I Googled. Obviously, I haven't seen her in a film probably since like Manhole or A Girl at My Door, which came out like 3 or 4 years ago. So I have no idea what she's been doing since. And well, I had no idea, and then I Googled it. It looks like she's trying to break into like K-pop and TV and stuff like that, and being like pretty quirky teenager. But I would like to see her in come back to like the more serious film stuff personally, but I think she's great.
She's higher on my list.
Yeah, I thought she would be. I thought she would be. Well, I won't ask you what you think, but obviously, you know, at such a young age, she gave such mature performances, particularly in obviously A Brand New Life, her first film, and then The Man from Nowhere. And The Neighbours was something I only discovered recently. And it was one of those movies I put on and I was like, oh, she's in this. And then she ends up playing a dual role. I was like, wow. And even with, like I said, Manhole, as rubbish as that movie is, she is still great. And she's she's just, I don't know, she just seems very mature as an actress. Like, she'll take on these roles that you would think, you know, any other actor would find quite difficult, you know, at her age. And I think, you know, when I've taught teenagers in high school that would be around her age, just like, she's done more in her life than I have in like my almost 35 years on this planet. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, damn you. But I just hope I hope she hasn't had any of this like sexual molestation stuff. It's all coming out obviously in the States with, you know, how you've got your Weinsteins and your Kevin Spaceys, and the list just keeps getting bigger every day. And we'd have to be really stupid to think that that only happens in Hollywood. Like, clearly this would happen in South Korea, in Japan, in India, in Australia, UK, anywhere in Europe. And I just hope that she's okay. She's not one of these child actresses that was taken advantage of, because I've heard some absolute horror stories with what happens to some young girls in Korea. So, but anyway, if she's higher up in your list, then let's move on. We'll talk to her when we get. So you're number 7? No. Yes, number 7. Yeah.
Might be a little low for you because I know this one's on your list. It might be a little low for you. I'm going with Ye-jin Son. So.
No, it's fine. Do what you want.
So her, obviously the big one on her list, in my opinion, is A Moment to Remember.
Yeah.
Just an absolutely just phenomenal performance in that. And then she's also been in a few other really good ones, like April Snow, which was really interesting. My Wife Got Married, and that was another one that's a really interesting role for her, because she plays a woman who wants an open relationship. And as a viewer, you kind of relate to the guy who just wants a monogamous relationship. So she plays kind of like somebody who's a little bit dislikable in how she treats this guy, but she still plays it in a very interesting way. That's an interesting flick that I would recommend anybody to watch. She even does like some romantic comedies. There was one called Spellbound from 2011 where she can see ghosts and she meets a magician dude, and it's kind of a rom-com horror flick that was kind of fun. And then recently, The Last Princess. So in terms of K-dramas, I've only seen one from her. That was Personal Taste, which was actually pretty interesting. She meets a guy she doesn't know this about him, but he pretends to be gay so that he can be her roommate for various reasons. So it was a good one. Multiple awards. And so A Moment to Remember is, you know, her performance in that. It really kind of emotionally devastated me, like it does with most people that see that movie. Just I think I don't know, man. It's even just hard to say exactly what she does in that movie. But playing a person with that specific condition, she just nailed it. Yeah. And I can see why she would be higher on your list.
Yeah, she's not number 1, but she's slightly higher, not too much higher. So, all right. So my number 7 is Shim Kyung. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. She was in Fabricated City, a movie that I absolutely hated and you kind of liked. And it made me kind of like question our friendship, to be honest. But she's another one. She's what, in her early 20s? And the one that kind of highlighted her ability for me was, you you haven't seen The Mayor yet, I assume, the Choi Min-sik.
No.
She is absolutely incredible. She is real. It's called The Mayor, but it's really her story. She's like the main character in that film. She's like this young intern, and she starts off the film as, you know, she's at this rally, and you've got the people fighting for the position of mayor, and she's a bit of a smart ass, and she asks these kind of questions, and then she ends up getting hired by them. And it's more about her journey than it is, you know, the other people that the movie focuses on. She was also in Hansel and Gretel. She was one of the kids in that. What else? I'm just bringing up. Oh, Possessed. She was So-jin, the girl that was possessed in Possessed. She was great in that. She was in Sunny, Masquerade, Miss Granny, I'm Missing You, which was excellent. She had a cameo in Train to Busan. She was a voice in Seoul Station. Obviously, Fabricated City. The less we talk about that, the better. And she's going to be in Psychokinesis, the follow-up to Train to Busan. Yeah, which I saw that. I think it's a Netflix thing, to be honest. Or Netflix have bought the rights to it. It's Yong Sang-ho. And it basically looks like, what was that movie that, what's his face wrote? Max Landis.
Was it World?
What was that one where the teenage boys, they decide that they get the
American Made or American
No. The one, they're like the guy that did Fantastic, Josh Trank's first film, Chronicle.
Oh, Chronicle.
Yeah, it's got that kind of vibe to it. I'm just like, really, dude? I don't know. The following up Train to Busan is going to be very, very difficult. But she's she's the main female lead in Psychokinesis. So she's great. Look, as much as I didn't like Fabricated City, she was the best character in the film and the best actor in the film. I don't want to sit here and bag Fabricated City, because I'll be doing that in my top 10 worst films of the year. So.
Wow.
All right. So is she on your list at all?
No, but it's a very good choice. Obviously, the first impression she gave with me was Hansel and Gretel. As soon as she showed up in the forest with the little lamp, I was like, who is this? You know what I mean? She was very good in that one. Yeah, Possessed, definitely. Sunny is like, I actually put Sunny on my top 20 South Korean films of the 2010s when we did that. Yeah, she's hilarious in that movie. She's great. It's nice to see, you know, somebody who can actually have that type of range where you have like really a dark, like possessed type role, and then 2 years later she's in like this crazy like comedy drama, you know, historical piece. I kind of liked Miss Granny. I'll be honest, it was pretty good. It wasn't that great. And then yeah, Fabricated City, of course. You know, we all know that one was okay. So yeah, it was a good choice. I like her.
Yeah, and she, like I said, one of the best performances by a female this year. The Mayor, easily. She was great in that. I think she was definitely the standout. And I think when you watch that film, I reckon you'll probably have the same feeling that I did. That, oh my God, this girl.
If you're a standout in a film with Choi Min-sik,
yeah,
that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I look forward to it.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we are up to number 6.
All right, now I'm starting to get to some actresses that just have loaded filmographies, and this next one has a loaded filmography, and I'm talking about Doudna Bay.
What?
Yeah.
That's
number 6?
Number 6? What's wrong with you?
So her filmography is pretty insane. Barking Dogs Never Bite, Take Care of My Cat, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. I'll skip some of her less impressive ones. Linda, 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 The Host, Air Doll, As One, and A Girl at My Door.
You don't want to mention Jupiter Ascending?
Oh, I haven't really seen any of her Wachowski stuff at all. I I have to watch it though. I was gonna do like a marathon of their stuff,
Mm.
just to catch up because some of the stuff looks kind of interesting. So, but yeah, just a fantastic filmography. I saw a few of her K dramas; they were just okay, but Barking Dogs Never Bite, man. Again, I put that in one of my lists that I did with you.
Yeah.
I think her performance in that was really interesting. Oh, I read somewhere that Joon Ho Bong, one of the reasons he cast her is because she was the only actress who said, "Yeah, I'll play this role without doing putting on any makeup." And there were other actresses who were trying to break into the, get a lead role in a theatrical film, and they refused to play the role because he wanted them to play it without makeup to make it. So that's kind of shocking.
Well,
But
let's be honest, she's probably the only person on this list on either our list that hasn't had plastic. I'm pretty good at picking the plastic surgery thing because I've spent so much time around Koreans, and I'm pretty sure she's had nothing done. I would
possibly Hyo-jin Kong, I could see
Yeah.
possibly not having. But
there's
yeah, I think you're right.
very few. I mean, there's very few Korean people in general that haven't had work done. But when it comes to big time actresses and actors, she is definitely like pretty natural when it comes to her look. And it goes to show that you don't need to do all that. You can actually make it on talent. So I'll say more about her later because I absolutely adore her as an actress, and she's higher up on my list, obviously. So, all right. So we were up to number 6, right?
Correct.
All right. My number 6. Sorry, I just need to get my notes sorted here. Oh, where did my thing go? Oh, I hate that. I've got can't find my cursor. There it is. All right. My next one is somebody I watched in a movie recently called The Mimic, and that is Yum Jung-ah. She was in Tell Me Something, H, A Tale of Two Sisters, The Spies, Cart, and obviously The Mimic. She's done a lot of TV work and stuff, but I'm only really familiar with her film work. Obviously, H and Tell Me Something are great serial killer films that I put on my list. A Tale of Two Sisters, Eric, I think it's like one of your favorite Korean films.
Yep.
And she's excellent in that. And The Mimic, even though I was a little bit disappointed in that film, I thought it could have been a lot better. She was definitely excellent in the movie. So, yeah, I think she's got a good range. She obviously likes to do her horror thriller stuff. And of course, somebody like me that really loves the South Korean thrillers and horror movies, she was bound to end up on the list. But she was also great in Cart, which was the movie about the employees of the supermarket. And I think it might have been based on a true story. I can't remember correctly, but I would be surprised if it wasn't. I've got a feeling it was like loosely based on something. But yeah, she was awesome in all of those. So your thoughts? You obviously is she on your list?
No, but it's a fantastic choice.
Right.
It's a fantastic choice. She, Tale of Two Sisters, she blew me away in that, along with the other two actresses. That was just ridiculous.
Of course.
And then the other one that I really love with her is Lovely Rivals. It's like a nice, lighthearted romantic comedy where it's her. She plays like a school teacher, and she has a fantastic entrance in that film as well. And then there's one of her little students, a girl. They both kind of have a crush on the same hunky teacher. So they have kind of like this playful rivalry to earn his affection, it's at school, or his attention at school. And that was a really funny movie. And that one kind of surprised me because I had only seen her in A Tale of Two Sisters and maybe H at that point.
Yeah.
And then I saw her in this crazy comedy, and that made me even more of a fan. So yeah, I really like her a lot. And I gotta catch up with her other films a little bit more, her recent stuff.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'd be interested to see what you think of Mimic, or The Mimic, sorry. It's one of those movies that for the first, like, I don't know, 3/4 of it, you're like, oh my God, this is potentially like one of the best like horror films in recent years. And then it's one of those things where the final, maybe even, not even 10 minutes, maybe final like 5 minutes kind of ruin, for me, I was like, ruined it. I'm just looking at the chat and people are saying they wish they could see pictures of these women. Look, guys, I would love to be able to do that, but I kind of need, like, how am I going to do that? I'd have to, that would be very difficult for me to do. If somebody wants to fly to Australia and live in Brisbane and pay your own rent and get a job, and then when Eric and I do these podcasts, you want to come to my place and sit here and run everything, then you're more than welcome to.
I'm sure we'll leave a list in
yeah,
down below where everybody can research.
Piers writing the names down as we say them. I can see the chat happening. So, guys, you might just have to Google them for now. I'm sorry. I would love to have the technology. I'd love to be a Joe Rogan type where I can just sit here and not have to worry about the technical stuff. But, you know, Eric knows how difficult it, like, you'd think it would be easy just to do this, but it actually, like, we have technical difficulties every time we try and do this, and it's not just because I don't know what I'm doing. It's just, yeah, it's really frustrating. So, but anyway, we'll move on. So we're down to the top 5, I believe.
Correct.
All right, so number 5 for you. I'm going to crack open another beer.
Sheesh, take it easy over there.
It's all right. No, we're halfway through. So technically, I should be able to get through another beer. All right,
I feel pretty strong in my top 5 here. And the next girl here, again, has a ridiculous filmography. And I'm talking about Do-yeon Jeon.
Okay.
Now, she was in The Housemaid, the remake that was good. My Dear Enemy, which I really enjoyed. Secret Sunshine. Untold Scandal. And a bunch of other good stuff here. Now, she also has some Best Actress awards to her name. So I think she has, like, at least in her earlier years, she took on some slightly edgier roles. Like, she was in Happy End with Choi Min-sik, where her husband suspects her of cheating on him, and it gets pretty dicey. And I Wish I Had a Wife was also... she goes from Happy End to I Wish I Had a Wife, which is kind of a grounded romantic comedy, which is really interesting. So I guess Secret Sunshine is probably the role that a lot of people would choose to be their favorite of hers, which is a great role. But my personal favorite is My Dear Enemy, because she plays this woman who basically goes to her ex-boyfriend who owes her money. And she's like, listen, you got to pay up. And the guy's like, I don't have any cash on me, but some people owe me money. And she's like, get in the car, we're going to collect. So it's kind of a downplayed, almost like romance with some comedy in it. And the way she plays off of Jung-hwa in that movie is just fantastic. So if anybody hasn't seen My Dear Enemy, I definitely recommend that. And, I mean, what can you say about everything else? Untold Scandal is another really good one. It's almost like Dangerous Liaisons in ancient Korea. So that one's solid. So I think her recent filmography is a little less impressive. A Man and a Woman was like, okay.
Yeah,
Memories of the Sword, I thought stunk. I didn't like that movie. So hopefully she...
Sorry, you finish and then I'll...
Yeah, so hopefully she gets, get back into like the juicier, more interesting roles soon.
Yeah, Memories of the Sword. I think I remember saying it was bad. A Man and a Woman was. It's a shame because you've got really good. She's playing opposite really good actors, like the best of the best in Korea. And what was My Dear Enemy? That's like 2008 or something.
That's correct.
Yeah, like that's almost 10 years ago. It's like, yeah, her. But I guess, how old would she be now? She'd be in her mid-40s?
Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe late 30s, yeah. Some people really like The Shameless from 2015.
Yeah, I forgot she was in that.
It was a little better.
That was one of those things that I watched, but I have like there's a lot of these films like My Dear Enemy, The Shameless. I've actually seen, but I haven't reviewed. I don't review everything that I watch. I probably should, but it's, you know, finding the time to do that. I think that's a good choice. She's not on my list. I thought about it, but yeah, she's not on my list. So my number 5 is Sonya Jin, who we spoke about earlier. I think who was she? Was like your number 7 or 8 or something.
7.
7, yeah. So I really liked her in The Last Princess. I thought she was fantastic in that movie. Obviously, a lot of people have a soft spot for the classic, and I enjoyed it, but I think I was too late to the game with that one. But A Moment to Remember, like you were saying earlier, Eric, made me cry. Like, there aren't that many films that have made me cry over the years, and that film absolutely, like, just, it was like, oh man, the performances from both, you know, from both of them in that film is just amazing. But she goes from playing this rebellious teenager to, you know, she's obviously, you know, she works in fashion, and then she meets this guy that's just a tradesman, and there's obviously that kind of, I guess, people from two different lives, you know, she's really well off and rich, and he's a bit of a bum. And then, yeah, there's just so many moments. I just remember the part where she's at home and there's just notes all over the place, and her ex-boyfriend, who she was having an affair with, she wasn't having the affair, he was married or whatever, and then her actual husband comes home, and you're just like, oh my God. There's just moments that, and she's just amazing. And then you look at her other stuff, though. She's done some stuff that, The Tower's not very good, in my opinion. The Pirates was, I remember kind of enjoying it, you know, as a South Korean Pirates of the Caribbean ripoff. She was good, but yeah, definitely The Last Princess. That was for me on par with her performance in A Moment to Remember. And has she got a film out this year? I'm not sure she's been in anything I've seen this year.
She's in something. She's in 2 next year.
Right.
One called Negotiation, and another one called Be With You.
Is Negotiation the one with Hyun Bin? Did I read that correctly?
I'm not sure.
Let's have a look. Yes, it is. Okay. The story revolves around a negotiator from Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency's crisis negotiating team and a criminal who kidnaps the negotiator's superior. Could be okay. Could be okay. But we'll see. But yeah, Sonya Jin is my number 5. So
Good choice.
Yeah, she's in both of our lists. It was bound to happen. She's very good. I honestly haven't seen any of her television work, to be honest. I know she's done a fair bit of that.
Personal Taste is entertaining. And Personal Taste has the man in it, too.
Oh, he's in everything, though. We really should do a list of, like, I don't know, underrated South Korean actors, or the best South Korean character actors. Yeah. There's so many of them. It's like those guys that turn up in every single film. Hey, at least they're getting work, man. At least they're getting work.
Yeah.
All right, you're number 5.
Or we're up to number 4 now, I believe.
Oh, number 4. Sorry. You go for it. Yeah.
All right, this is another actress that I'm giving some love to here, because I really love her a lot. Mm-hmm. And she brings like that indie feel. And it's Kkob-bi Kim, who is likely most well known for Breathless. She was in Breathless. Yep. She won awards for that one. She was in one of my favorite films, Korean films of all time, which I've mentioned before, Midnight Ballad for Ghost Theater, which is the horror comedy musical.
Still haven't
I highly
seen it.
recommend
Still
that.
haven't seen it, man.
She was in Pluto, which was a good flick. The Liar, which I had just seen recently. The other interesting thing when I look at her filmography is that she tends to do some Japanese films. She was the supporting actress in Grateful Dead.
Oh, really?
She
Who
was
was
in a
she in
few-
Grateful Dead? Was she just one of
She
those
was the
random...
lady. She was the lady who goes to the guy's house and preaches to him and reads the Bible to him. That was her.
Right. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing she can speak fluent Japanese?
I don't
Or
know.
some Japanese?
I don't know. Maybe a little bit. I've seen her in some of her other ones, and there was some English spoken between her and some of the Japanese people. So maybe, but yeah, I found that interesting. I couldn't figure out why she's been in like 3 or 4 Japanese films. So it's pretty interesting cross-cultural project or career management
Yeah.
there. She won Best Actress for Breathless as well. And she does, great range. She could do comedy. She could do dramas, everything like that. And I think she's underrated and really needs to, I don't know, I kind of wish more people would kind of pay attention to her films, but I don't know, there's really nothing you could do because she does a lot of kind of lower key stuff.
Cool. Well, honestly, man, I haven't seen, like, Breathless is probably the main one, and I guess that's probably the main one for most people. I agree with everything you said. She's awesome in that film. It's an awesome movie. It's a really, really great film. If you haven't seen Breathless, you need to watch Breathless. It's impactful, it's hard hitting, it's a really gritty film.
A lot of foul language.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. It's got that kind of indie, like gritty, grungy vibe. It's definitely worth watching. All right, so yeah, continue.
No, I'm good. I just wanted
right.
to emphasize my love for her.
All right. My number 4 is Ha Ji-won. So from Phone, obviously that was kind of her first big-ish film. Then you've got stuff like Duelist, Tidal Wave. I didn't really care for Tidal Wave or Hyundai. Sector 7 is a film I like, and I don't care what people think. I like my dumb, stupid monster movies, and she is awesome. I get that she's just playing a Korean Ripley in that movie, but she does it so well, and I think she's an absolute badass in that film. As One is awesome. That's probably one of the best sports films I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's amazing. She is incredible in that. And then you've got another she's an actress who's done a lot of good stuff, but then she's done a lot of shit. The Huntresses is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. But then you've got things like Chronicle of a Blood Merchant, Ha Jung-woo's film he directed and wrote, and I think it was based on a book, but he adapted the book, and she plays his wife in that film, and they have a great rapport. And she's in Manhunt, a film that many people have asked me to review, but it wasn't released here. Or it hasn't been released here. I don't know when it's coming out. So that's the latest John Woo film. This is like John Woo's comeback film. And from what I understand, from what people have told me, it's almost a parody. But I still want to see it because it's got a fantastic cast and it's John Woo, man. So it'll be interesting to see her, taking one of the lead roles in a John Woo movie. I wonder how many doves will be flying around her and if she'll be flying through the air shooting guns at someone. But she's great. I really think she's somebody that has definitely had an interesting career. Again, I know she's done a lot of television stuff. She's dabbled in music. A few of them have, quite a lot of them have. I mean, I'll be honest, I almost put Kim Ok-vin on my list, but then I had a double take with her and I took her off. I think I've mentioned this before. If you want to see something that'll kind of ruin her for you, try to find her punk band. She tried and failed at being a singer in a punk band. It's really bad. It's awful. But anyway, back to Ha Ji-won. She is great. And a lot of that comes from As One. She's fantastic in that. And I don't care what people think. Sector 7, she's awesome. And she's a great female action lead. And I'd love to see her in something like that again. I think they tried to do that with The Huntresses. But that movie was just incredibly bad and insulting. You know, in that film, you had these women that were meant to be these strong, independent women. But then at the end of the day, they just wanted a man. Or they wanted to end up, they kind of, it was, oh man, it was awful. I don't want to talk about that movie anymore. Where's my beer? Eric, take over.
Yeah, as a side note, Kkob-bi Kim came really close to making my list, if only for Thirst, because she actually trumped Kang Ho Song in a movie, which is just ridiculous. But, you know, you have to choose, you know. But yeah, Ji-won Ha almost made my list as well.
Yeah.
I think the reason maybe why she didn't is because I really dislike a few of her films. Well, not a few, maybe a handful.
Yeah.
Just looking at her list here, like I love Ditto. She was a supporting actress in that one. Nightmare, I didn't really like that. Phone, I really liked. I think she's really good in Phone, and she makes that movie, I think, entertaining. Sex is Zero, I really disliked. Reversal of Fortune, I did not like. 100 Days with Mr. Arrogant. I don't think I like that one either.
I haven't seen that.
There's some, The Duelist I didn't like.
I didn't mind The Duelist.
But she definitely, yeah. There was definitely some strong points, though, like you said. I mean, Sector 7 I like, and I think if you casted a different actress and it didn't work, the film definitely takes a downgrade into maybe unwatchable territory. But she really, really did a good job, I think, in that one. As One, definitely. In terms of her film roles, if I had to choose my favorite, it might be Ditto for this, or As One.
Yeah.
And then her drama series, I've only seen 2, and they were actually really good. Secret Garden and King Two Hearts. So, you know, she definitely has enough to make my list, but I think I just saw a little bit too much noise in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good choice.
For me, it was one of those things, like, the roles that she has done where she is portraying a really, really strong female character, like, you know, As One and Sector 7. It's like, they were enough to, like, put her higher on my list for me. Because their movies, I always judge these films and stuff by rewatch value. A lot of the time. You know, as lame and silly as Sector 7 is, for me, it's got a lot of rewatch value. And As One, a lot of sports movies are very cliched, and I don't really like sports movies, to be honest, but As One, I've watched that, like, I watched it to review it because a couple of people suggested it, and I think one of my patrons was a Good Shepherd that suggested that one. I can't remember. And I've watched that movie like 3 times now, purely for the performances of her and Bae Doo-na. I was just like, it's enough for me to keep watching that movie and return to it. Just their performances are fantastic. And the amount of work they put into that movie, like both of them did so much training. Like that was them for most, like doing the ping pong stuff. Like that was them because there was no way around it. And the director didn't really want to do the whole, let's put in a CGI ball. Like those 2 women, they worked their asses off for that film. And yeah, I like her.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Another note that I would like to make is that in the 1K drama King Two Hearts, she plays a North Korean soldier, and she actually, it seemed like she was doing like a North Korean accent, which I can't tell how accurate it was, but it seemed to get some good play, and she was great in that, in kind of an odd role. So that's another worthy mention of her.
Cool. All right, so we're down to the top 3.
Yes.
All right. Let's see if we've got any that cross over here. So you're number 3.
All right, I'm going with an actress here that I've covered some actresses that really ground their films and actresses that have fantastic filmographies and that type of thing. But my number three is just an actress that has such fantastic screen presence that I don't know, she just has something that keeps me coming back, and that's Hyo-joo Han. So Hyo-joo Han was the lead actress. The Westerners might know her in her lead role in Cold Eyes. She was also in one of her big breakout roles was a film called Ad Lib Night. It was an indie film from 2006 where she played a girl who meets a guy on the street and the guy says, hey, they get into a conversation. He says, listen, you look like somebody from our village. And this girl's grandfather's passing away and we can't find his daughter or his granddaughter anywhere. And he really wants to see her. So could you step in and play her? Because he's not going to notice you anyway. He's almost gone. But you could give him this sense of relief that he's, met his granddaughter again. And that was a really interesting kind of indie film that got her career rolling. She did a film called Ride Away, which is another obscure one that was really good. And The Beauty Inside, which is another really interesting premise about a guy whose body changes every day, but he keeps the same mentality and soul, and he tries to court her. So I just think her pure charisma and screen presence is just fantastic. I could watch her in just about anything. And I don't know, it's very easy with the way that she acts to like sympathize with her character and empathize with her situation. So yeah, she's my number three.
Cool. Good choice. I still haven't seen The Beauty Inside. The amount of people that have told me to watch that movie, Corey, watch The Beauty Inside, review it. Still haven't seen it, but I liked her in Cold Eyes. Like, I really like Cold Eyes, probably more than most people. I know I included that on my top 10 action films list, but I think she's great in that movie, and I think she shows vulnerability in that role. Look, again, she's not somebody I even thought about, to be honest, Eric. And I think it's because I haven't watched a lot of her stuff. Like Cold Eye, if I'd seen them, like the other things that you just mentioned, I probably would put her on this list as well. I don't know where, but just going by Cold Eyes, a movie I really love. I think she's definitely an underrated actor, and I get what you mean about having screen presence. That's something that I think a lot of actors, you can't learn that stuff, can't be taught. I think it's you either have it or you don't. And she definitely has it, going by like Cold Eyes.
Yep. I saw a few of her K-dramas too that were really interesting, and she just she really blew me away. So I really look forward to seeing what she does in the future.
Yeah. Has she got anything? Did anything come out this year?
She's coming out. She has a movie called Golden Slumber this year, which, judging by the film title, it might be a remake of a Japanese thriller that was actually pretty good. So I might be interested in seeing that. And then she's going to be in the Jinro Wolf Brigade movie next year.
Okay. Is that definitely happening? Because that's been in the works for forever, from what I understand.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll wait and see. I wonder if there'll be an outcry in the United States about Koreans remaking Japanese things. Culturally appropriating as they do.
There won't be, no.
No, because let's face it, nobody really cares. It's just, let's get out. That's why I quit Twitter, for those of you who don't know or care. I quit Twitter because I was just over it. I was over it. I was over people on the left and people on the right and all their bullshit. I was just like, I can't be around this crap anymore. Not that it wasn't that I was following people like this. It was just this stuff came up on my feed. Like somebody who liked somebody liked this. And I was like, I don't need to see this. I don't need to see the bitching and moaning.
That's why I can't watch the news. I don't even bother watching the news anymore. Like I work a full day of work. When I come home, I want to, life's too short to just be angry and frustrated all the time. I want to enjoy life a little bit and not be irritated all the time. You know what I mean? So I I don't really pay attention too
know.
much to all the noise, you know.
Yeah, the way I look at it, if you've got the time to be offended at absolutely everything, then you clearly have no problems in your life, or you've never had any issues. And I'll still say it, it's always middle class or upper middle class white people that
Yeah.
always have these problems. Because, you know, what else have they got to whinge about? They're just waiting for their parents to buy them a new car or something. All right. Number 3. For me, is Jung-hwa. She is almost 50 years old. She has had a really, really interesting career. She started out, I believe, as, like, I'm not familiar with K-pop stuff, to be honest, but, sorry, I'm just trying to bring up my notes here. There we go. Let's click here. I believe she started out as a singer and dancer, and the whole, like, acting thing came later in life. Like in the 90s and the 2000s, she was, I guess, in K-pop, and that stuff doesn't interest me. But to be honest, like if you look at her discography, it's actually bigger than her filmography. But I really like Princess Aurora. I think that's a great thriller / revenge film. She was in Hyundai, which we spoke about earlier. I didn't really care for that film, but really bestseller and Montage. I really like her in Montage. As everyone knows, I love thrillers, and she's in 3 really good ones, like with Princess Aurora. The problem is, if you try and Google Princess Aurora, it'll bring up stuff from, is it Sleeping Beauty? I think it's Sleeping Beauty. Is Princess Aurora is technically Princess Aurora, yeah, that's the name of Sleeping Beauty. But if you type in Princess Aurora Korean film, you'll be able to find that. She is great in that as a woman out for revenge. So it's got those cool, like, revenge parts, but then it's almost, I think it's technically a serial killer film, I think. Bestseller, she plays this writer who's been suspected of plagiarism. Great in that movie as well. But Montage is the one that really stands out for me. She is absolutely amazing in that film. And I believe it was remade for our Indian viewers as TE3N. But I think it's the guy from what's his name? The guy from Pink takes over the role. So it's a grandfather rather than a mother. Now, I'm not sure if it's an official remake or it's another Indian movie where they just say, oh, no, we've never heard of that before, which they tend to do quite a lot, and they get away with it too much, in my opinion. But if you want to see a really good performance from her, watch Montage. It also has Kim Sang-kyung in it, who was in Memories of Murder. And if you want to see him in a similar film, like similar vibe, like with the whole thriller thing, then I highly recommend. I love Montage. I can't remember. Did I include that in my top 20? I must have included that in the top 20 list.
I think I remember talking about it with you at some point.
Yeah. It's one of those movies I find myself remembering stuff from it, and then I go, what movie was that? And then I Google it, or I look, oh yeah, well, that was Montage. But I don't know much about her musical background. I don't know if she's just, when she was younger, she was just token hot chick that would just stand there and dance around and sing. I really don't know. I try not to get into the whole K-pop thing, mainly because I don't care. And I don't really appreciate that kind of music. But anyway. Eric, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll definitely give you Montage. That movie's pretty awesome. And she's definitely good in that one. This actress, though, I kind of expected you to include it on your list because I think I saw a few of your reviews where you really liked her. I don't know. There's just something.
You don't see it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think like Bestseller is a good example of one that I think we disagree on. I just didn't. There's something about that movie that just didn't click for me. Okay. I don't know if it was it just felt maybe a little bit cliched, and maybe I didn't like her mannerisms or
But it
something
has
for
the
some
man in
reason.
it. The man's in that movie.
Oh, no, I might have to rewatch it then. I might have to give it a second chance. But I do see talent there. I do. She was in Marriage is a Crazy Thing, was pretty interesting. Yeah, Princess Aurora, that was pretty good flick. I like that one.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean she's not obviously Hyundai,
Yeah,
but
exactly. I think we all have that reaction when we talk about Hyundai.
yeah, so I don't think she would make my list, but at least she's got enough to where I can understand why you included it.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's pretty good.
Cool. All right, final two.
Well, you know one of these two.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if the number one. I'm really interested in their number one picks because the number one is very clear in my mind, and
Okay.
we'll see if this girl pops up on yours. But number two is going to be Sae-ron Kim.
Obviously.
Obviously,
Yep.
she earned her way into my heart as an actress with a brand new life.
Mm-hmm.
Just a phenomenal performance. And again, it's one of those performances where she does so much with so little dialogue. I mean, just fantastic mannerisms, facial expressions. I think she already mastered the craft of playing children who are either abandoned, abused, or in mortal danger, which is basically most of her filmography.
Pretty much, yeah.
So if you need an actress to play that role, that you had your chance when she was in her younger
Yeah,
years.
she's too old now.
Yeah, definitely. Korea, they really do kind of churn out some pretty impressive child performances from various actors and actresses fairly consistently, I think, over the last 15 or so years. But if I had to pick a poster child for that, it would be her.
Of
I mean,
course.
she's just phenomenal. I would have to say, one thing I saw when I was looking at her bio is that she was the youngest Korean actress to ever be invited to the Cannes Film Festival for a brand new life. So that was interesting. And I did see one of her K-dramas, and it was really kind of not very good. It was real kind of flimsy, cutesy, badly written fluff.
Is that
It's
one of
called
the
High School.
Is that one of the recent ones?
It was one from 2014, High School
Right,
Love On. But she did win Best Actress for her role in Mirror of the Witch, which is a 2016 K-drama, which I'm going to put on my high priority list. So hopefully, hopefully that gets her on the right track. She's in a movie called Snowy Road for 2017, which I don't know what that's about, but I'm very confident this actress is so young and she has such a long career ahead of her that I can't wait to see what she does. You know what I mean?
Have you seen any of her musical stuff?
No,
I think
I
she's trying. I read somewhere that she's trying to, or they're trying to make her into like a K-pop thing as well.
Yeah.
This shit annoys me, to be honest. I can understand if it's the reverse, to be quite clear. Like, I can understand these people that start off in music and then they get a few roles here and there and it turns out, oh, you're actually pretty good at this. But when it's like you've started your life as an actor and then they try to force the musical thing, it's like, do you really need to be doing this? I don't know. I was really surprised. This is completely off topic, but I was at like a bar the other day, and it was during the day. I was just having lunch with a friend, and there was this, at the bar, they had the big screen TV playing, and they had the top 20 like Australian charts or whatever, and basically it's just the same as the US charts. And like number 2 or 3 was some girl. I'm like, she looks really familiar. And it was the kid from the Coen Brothers remake of whatchamacallit, the John Wayne film.
True Grit.
True Grit. What's her name? Haley Steinfeld.
Or something?
Yeah, she's like a singer now, apparently. Like pop. Like your it looked like what a K-pop thing looks like, a 17-year-old K-pop thing would look like, but US, so like cutesy, but kind of borderline sexual as well. And then she's like, what the hell is going on here? I don't know. That just, for me, that seems like, because I'm just comparing her to Kim Sae-ron because, well, that happened the other day, but they're probably around the same age, and she had a very young career as well as an actor, and now she's trying to do the whole pop star thing, and it looks like she's succeeding. I'm just interested to know, those watching in Korea or have an interest in K-pop, can you let me know in the comments what the hell is with Kim Sae-ron's K-pop career, if that's a thing, if she's any good. I don't know, just find it interesting. All right, so my number 2. Eric, do you want to guess what my number 2 is?
I don't know.
I've mentioned I haven't, like, I mentioned that I had a crush on this woman once, but I really
Woo-hee
like.
Chun?
Yes,
Yeah.
you got it. Obviously, she was in stuff like Mother. That was kind of her, I guess if you want to call it a breakthrough role. Sunny, she was in as one. She had a small role in that. The film that really kind of put her in my like field of vision was Han Gong-ju. She was incredible in that, playing a bullied high school student. She was in Cart, The Piper, The Beauty Inside, which I haven't seen, but then you have The Wailing. She played the female shaman or ghost or whatever your interpretation of, pardon me, her character was. But I think she is absolutely phenomenal. I just was, if you go back and watch Mother, obviously her role's really small in that, but it's a really integral part of that film. Yeah, I can only see her career getting better and better and better. And she's somebody that I compare her to Doudna Bay in a sense that she's a little bit odd looking. I think I think both of those women are attractive, but she doesn't look like your typical, I don't know, cookie cutter Korean actress. She's got something unique about her. I can't really quite describe what it is, but she's got a great range. You look at The Wailing, and then you look at Cart. She hasn't got a big role in that, but I think The Wailing was the one that, well, obviously Han Gong-ju was the one that kind of put her in the spotlight, but I think a lot of people haven't seen that movie and they need to. But definitely The Wailing, everybody's seen her in The Wailing. And I just remember her throwing stones. Throwing those stones in The Wailing. That scene's amazing. But your thoughts? Is she on your list?
She isn't, but it's a great choice. She was definitely in the running. Yeah, the role that really kind of, I would say, made me take notice of her was also Han Gong-ju, because it's such a hard role to play.
Yeah.
What she did in that movie.
Definitely.
I mean, that's a real. I mean, I don't know. I can imagine some actresses maybe turn that role down given what happens in that movie. So, and she just did a fantastic job. Again, a role where you're kind of in a situation where a lot of crazy bad things are happening, but she gives the film an added layer of depth just with her portrayal of the character itself. The Wailing and The Piper, she actually kind of has, well, I wouldn't say they were similar roles, but she kind of plays like that side character that could have an integral part to things as they move along, which was really interesting. And one movie I like where she was actually the fourth lead that I know you're not too big on was Thread of Lies, which she was in. So that was a good one too. Yeah, I really like her too. She's one of those actresses where I think I'm going to pay attention to what she's in and kind of check her filmography now and again and actually seek out movies that I know she's going to be in the future. So, yeah, she's got a bright future.
Yeah, she's one of those people that, obviously she had Han Gong-ju and she was the lead in that, but everything else she hasn't really been the lead. She has been that side character. And obviously Han Gong-ju, I think, is a well-respected movie with people that like Korean films and stuff, but it wasn't a film that broke internationally, or many people that have a casual interest in movies would watch, because it is a very hard movie to watch. And like you said, there aren't too many actresses today that could play that role. I think there are a few on both of our lists that if it was 10 years ago, you might see them playing that role, but obviously they're a bit too old now. But she just needs that. She just needs that one big film like The Wailing, like for Kwak Do-won, who was in the, he was the lead of The Wailing. She just needs that kind of spotlight movie that isn't some kind of really dark independent film.
Right.
So, but yeah, she's one of those actresses that, ever since I discovered her, I'm really excited. When I saw that she was, obviously I saw The Piper and Cart and Hung Gong-ju and stuff before The Wailing. So when it was announced that she was going to be in The Wailing, I was super excited. So I'm not sure. She had a film. I don't know if it's out yet or it came out, but it definitely didn't come out in Australia. It's called One Day. Looks like kind of a romantic comedy. I'll give it a watch if I can get a hold of it, but I like her in the more dramatic stuff for me. But everybody knows I prefer the more dramatic, serious stuff than the rom-coms. But if she's in a rom-com, I'll watch it anyway.
I'm actually kind of excited now to see her in a rom-com. I bet you she would have some really awesome comedic timing.
Yeah, I
look forward to that one.
I'm pretty sure. I'll just let me click on it. I've just got it up here. One Day. Somebody might be able to. So it's Kim Nam-gil. The film tells the story of a newly widowed insurance investigator who is handling the case of a woman who goes into a coma after a car accident. He encounters the spirit of the woman when he visits her in hospital one day and realizes that he is the only person who can save her. So it sounds like a dramedy to me, like kind of like a... It could be okay. It sounds a bit dumb, if I'm going to be completely honest. I do like Kim Nam-gil. If it comes, if I can stream it or something, I'll review it. But I'm not going to spend $40 or $50 on a DVD from Yes Asia. So, all right. Oh, it's saying internet connection problem on your end. I don't know why.
Yeah, you're looking a little fuzzy on my end.
Am I? Or maybe sorry guys if this is happening. That should be okay. It's got... Oh, there we go. I think we're right now. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry guys. Australian internet. You know what the Australian government did? They put in a thing called the NBN, which is the National Broadband Network, which was meant to have supply us with high-speed internet. So we're on par with the rest of the world. Because we live in the Stone Ages here, man, I tell you. And of course, they fucked it up. It doesn't work. They spent billions and billions of dollars on this, and it doesn't work. My mum got it installed because the house I'm living in now is closer to the city, and my parents live out a bit further in the burbs. So obviously for some reason they decided to do the burbs first and then go closer to the city. My area doesn't have it yet, thank God. But my parents got it. And then I went to my mum's place when I came back to Brisbane to visit her because I had some stuff there. And she was like, Corey, the internet doesn't work. I'm like, what do you want me to do, Mum? She's like, they changed it. And apparently it's worse now. And all these telephone companies and the government that put this in are actually having to refund everyone because it's so bad. Thanks, Australia.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, don't get me started. All right, number one. Let's make this happy. Drum roll. Eric.
All right, now, about a week ago or something, you mentioned we could have the same actress as number one, and the possibility is here because I don't know who your number one is, so it's a real possibility. So here we go. All right, it's an actress who's been my favorite Korean actress for about 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go with Su-jeong Lim, also known
Okay.
as Im Soo-jung. Oh, you don't have... All right.
She's not
So
mine.
she's...
I think most
Oh.
people... No, there's one I'm missing that I haven't spoken about yet. You've spoken about her, but I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
all right.
we'll get to her in a minute.
So obviously, you know, A Tale of Two Sisters was how she jumped onto my radar.
Of course.
And then she has like a really interesting filmography, man. She was in a movie called Ing in 2003. It's kind of a terminal illness romance film. Again, it's one of the few films that made me cry, so I would recommend that one. She was in Lump of Sugar, that horse racing movie I recommend to people. I'm a Cyborg, but that's okay.
Of course.
I mean, how do you make that role work? I know you got Chan-wook Park directing you and everything, which obviously that helps. But I mean, that role could have really gone weird, man. It could have gone weird in a bad way, because she plays a real oddball character in that, and she somehow made it work well. You know what I mean? Happiness, which is an excellent romance. I mean, this is a solid filmography. She had a few kind of decent ones with Wu-chi and Finding Mr. Destiny, but then she came back with All About My Wife, which I love, and Come Rain, Come Shine. And then recently she was in Time Renegades, which was kind of interesting. So, you know, definitely another actress that just is, you know, she could do anything. She just got a great range. Yeah, I don't know what else I could really say about her.
Has she done a lot of TV, or does she mainly do film stuff?
She did only a few TVs. Sorry I Love You, which was good. And then recently this year she came out with one called Chicago Typewriter, which I watched, that was just pretty good.
Was it set in Chicago?
Like the first episode or something was.
Yeah. That's a good choice, man. I'm a Cyborg is a great film. Obviously, A Tale of Two Sisters. She's got a great filmography. She's not on my list, but I totally get it. Why? I understand. I get it. She's got a lot of talent there. A lot of talent. All right. My number one is somebody you've already spoken about, but you've clearly forgotten that I haven't spoken about it yet. Which is fine. Fine. Don't pay attention to me. It's all right. All right. It's Doudna Bay.
Oh, yeah.
My number one. For all the reasons you mentioned earlier, I love the host. I love Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. I've made it quite clear that I prefer that to Old Boy. I know that's controversial for a lot of people. I think she's great in Air Doll. I love the Wachowskis. There's a dog barking. I apologize. I love the Wachowskis. Obviously, The Matrix is probably the best anime live action anime ever made. Even though it's not based on an anime, but it borrows a hell of a lot from anime. I recommend Cloud Atlas for you, Eric, if you want to watch a movie that she's in. That was directed by the Wachowskis. I haven't seen Jupiter Ascending, mainly because it looked like a big pile of horse shit. And I've heard nothing that will persuade me to think otherwise. But she's great in Cloud Atlas. Everyone's great in that movie. It's about 3 hours long. And what I like about the Wachowskis is they never apologize for stuff. They just do it. And they're like, eh. When that movie came out, there was a lot of controversy in South Korea, from Asians in general, but mainly in America. Every actor in that film, so you've got Doudna Bay, Tom Hanks, Hugo Weaving, Hugh Grant, Halle Berry. I think that's the main cast. And it's set over like hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's set in different civilizations and different cultures. So there are characters in blackface, yellowface I can't think of a better term. I hate using any of these terms, but that's what people choose. There's whiteface, like Doudna Bay plays a white person. She plays a Mexican person. Halle Berry plays like an old Chinese man, I think, at one stage. Like every actor in that movie is transformed in every different segment of the film. And obviously this was before the outrage happened all the time. Like I think this might have been the beginning of it, but obviously I think the Wachowskis have a get out of jail free card with the transgender thing. But they just said, look, nah, that's the movie. Sorry. If you're offended, be offended. But every actor in this film plays a different race or culture at some stage. But she's excellent in that movie. Her English is pretty good. It's getting better. Obviously, As One, we spoke about that earlier. It's such a great sports film. And the amount of hard work she put into that movie, like getting up every day, being trained. It's just amazing. A Girl at My Door with Kim Sae-ron. Again, she plays a very strong female character, and that's what I like about her. She doesn't always, she has done it, but she doesn't always take, the typical wife character or anything like that. She did that with Tunnel, with Ha Jung-woo. She played his wife, and that was, I think, a waste of her talent, to be honest. I think that could have just been any female actor in that movie. The Tunnel was I enjoyed it. Like, I did enjoy that movie because they were both in it and they're both fantastic actors, but I just think that was a complete waste of her. She's got a movie coming out called Drug King. I think it's with Song Kang-ho. So it'd be good to see those guys in a film together again. I haven't seen Sense8, the Wachowskis TV series that she's part of. I've heard some good things. I'm not sure if that's one of those ones that has been canned though. I think
it was.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's too late for me to jump on board now, because if they haven't finished the series, then there's no point starting the series, which is unfortunate.
I think they said they might do like a 2-hour finale or something just to finish it off.
Well, that would be good. If they do that, then I'll probably try and binge watch the whole thing, because I will watch anything with her in it. She's absolutely amazing, and I think she's one of, if not she was on both our lists. I mean, I'm surprised that our lists were both so varied, to be honest, but
yeah.
Doudna Bay was on both of them, and like I said earlier, I think she's managed to have an amazing career without the need to sell herself short in any way. She's done everything based on pure talent. So, yeah, that's it. That's my number one.
It's a good choice.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we did have a little bit of overlap. We had Sae-ron Kim.
Yeah.
We had Doudna Bay.
Yeah.
Ye-jin Son. So that's 3.
That's out of 10. That's about it, man.
That just shows how deep. It shows how deep the acting pool is.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with Korea. You've got so many people to choose from, on both male and female. And like I said earlier, like if we ever did a top 10 like character actors or something, like even that would be hard to put together.
Yeah.
You'd have to do a male category and a female category for all of these. I mean, we could have easily done a top 20, I think.
Oh yeah, I got at least 13 more actresses here on my other list that I kind of narrowed it down from.
Yeah, I mean, we can always do a part 2 at some stage, but just for this 8,000 subscriber thing, I just wanted to try and keep it a little bit more concise. That's all. But
and hopefully some of the people who watch it will seek some of these ladies out and kind of binge watch some of their filmographies. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Well, all of them are all fantastic. I think we both can agree on that. Well, I'll just say thank you, Eric. Thank you for everything you've done with me. Like I was like, the 8,000 subscriber thing came up so quickly, and I just want to say I think I've always thought you deserve more subscribers than what I get, to be honest. I think you have a really deep knowledge of Asian cinema, and you're somebody I respect, and I really love our conversations. I want to...
Thank you.
Yeah, man, like, it's great. Like this is just something you and I both do for fun. And then, you know, it's getting bigger and bigger, and, you know, hopefully we can just do more collaborations like in the new year. This is something I'd like to do. Like now that I'm settled somewhere and I don't have to worry about moving somewhere, you know, hopefully it's something you and I can do like once a month, like a regular thing.
Yeah, that would be sweet. I think, you know, I think in terms of your channel, I think you're kind of turning a corner because you're kind of getting insane amounts of subscribers. Like even at the date of this video, I think you're already like 20% of the way to 9,000.
Oh, really?
It's really,
oh.
It's impressive.
I think
impressive.
Thanks, man. I think a lot of it has to do with the whole doing the Indian cinema. I think once I started bringing that into the fold, that kind of helped push things up a little bit. Yeah, I think some of it has to do with the fact that I get things earlier than a lot of other people too. Like I'm lucky that Australia gets stuff pretty much on the same day as like China or Japan or Korea, depending on the film. Yeah, so I don't know.
I also think you're a little bit. I think you're a little bit more critical too, which kind of benefits people. Sometimes I give films maybe a little bit of leeway, you know, stuff like Fabricated City.
Yeah,
but, but
that's
it's good.
fine.
You know, we have different styles, but I think your sense of criticism is a little bit sharper than mine, which can kind of help narrow down, you know, for your subscribers pretty good, like what they should really seek out.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff out there. Hell of a lot of stuff. So many movies come out, and like even I can't keep up with everything. And I try, and the amount of requests I get and all that stuff, like I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like I have plans for us reviewers of Asian cinema. Those of you who don't know, unfortunately, Jason from Asian Filmers has kind of departed ways. There was no bad blood or anything between he and Ray. I think he wants to focus on K-pop stuff, and we'll have Jason definitely back on a stream at some stage, and Ray, and hopefully we can all keep collaborating and stuff like that. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe when I get to 10,000, we'll try and sort something out, because my idea for all of us is to have control over our own channels. But I'd like I don't know, I'm not good with websites and stuff, but if there's anyone here that watches our channels that's good with websites, I'd like to create like a general website where we can all just re-upload or mirror our YouTube videos so they're all on the one site. But that's something I'll look at like 10,000 subscribers or something. I think it would be good if there was just like one website. I don't know what it would be called, but everyone can just like share their stuff on there and maybe get like some kind of forum on there or something like that. I don't know. I'm not good with, like, I'm struggling with this kind of stuff. This is enough for me doing these live streams, trust me, rather than having to put together a YouTube, not a YouTube, but an actual proper website. But I think it would be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Cool. Has anybody we'll probably stick around. Do you have to go anywhere, Eric? You probably need to go to bed at some stage.
Come on, man. Give me a break. I'm still young, baby. I'm okay for a while.
You're all right? Okay. Yeah. Has anybody got any questions in the chat? Susie, I can't read Korean, but thank you. There's somebody writing in the chat in Korean. Anybody got any questions for Eric and I while we're here? Eric, what's coming up for you? What do you got planned?
Well,
anything other than Christmas is coming up, and when's Thanksgiving? Is that soon?
That's this Thursday.
Ah, well, there you go.
I already got my wine back here.
Hey,
got some good stuff there, and Christmas, and just keep hammering out videos and stuff. It'll be good. It's awesome.
Yeah, you got anything planned for the Christmas break? Do you get a break over Christmas, or do you still have to work?
I have a job with a pretty good PTO policy, vacation policy, so I can usually take Thanksgiving and Christmas, weeks off.
Oh, nice.
And I do like family stuff, and then I do a lot of, YouTube channel write-ups during that time too. Watch movies and stuff. It's like a big, it's a big relaxation fest when I'm not traveling.
Cool. I'm just going to turn on the light in here because it just got really dark outside, and I've got the window open. Ah. All right. There we go. How's that? Has that changed anything? Is that brighter at all?
A little bit.
A little bit. It's really it looks like it's going to storm. That's a thing in Queensland. When you during the summer we get really bad storms every afternoon, and it floods in Brisbane as well. Nobody has any questions for us? If you don't ask questions, we'll leave. Come on. Usually my questions I get are, can you review this? Can you review this? Can you review this? I can. It's just I don't have the time to review everything. Don't fall on Lenny. No, Lenny's not in here. Lenny's downstairs asleep somewhere. Lenny's scared of the rain, so he'll probably hide under a chair.
I think Lenny should be part of our logo for our website.
Yeah, probably. He'll bring lots of traffic. I thought about, maybe I was like, I should start a YouTube channel for him. He'll probably like become like internet famous or something. People love their cats, man. So we have Lalo Degache. I discovered your channel recently. It's great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sacred Mary. Have you seen Creepy? Yes, I've seen Creepy. And I didn't particularly care for it all that much. Eric, you want to give your thoughts on Creepy?
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it was one of those things where I think my main problem with it was that there's a certain like technique that this bad guy uses, and I don't think they kind of emphasized it or developed it enough to be believable.
Yeah.
Whereas something like Cure, you see him work and you get what's going on. Whereas Creepy, I'm like, wait a second, what type of method is this guy really using to? But other than that, I thought it was Kayoshi's kind of getting back to form a little bit. I think Penance I thought was really good. It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I've got to get to that eventually.
He had Real, which I thought stunk, and then Journey to the Shore, which was okay. So Creepy's an improvement. I'm hoping he gets back to the top.
Yeah, I've got to do Penance because I just finished the book, so I've got it up here actually. Penance and Confessions. I just finished reading those recently. Fantastic books. They're like the only two of Kane Minato's books that have been translated into English. She had a very interesting career. She started off as a high school teacher, believe it or not. If you've seen Confessions, and then she became a housewife. And she decided, you know what? I'm going to write books. And her first book was Confessions.
Eesh.
So, yeah, again, makes me wonder what the hell am I doing with my life?
Even if you don't like Penance, it's got a loaded cast of talented Japanese actresses, man.
From what I from reading the book, because it's like, is it a 5-part TV thing?
Correct.
Originally? That makes sense, because that's pretty much the book. And if they're doing it, how long is it? Like 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah.
It's got to be like, obviously I haven't seen it yet and I've read the book, but I'm going to go out on a limb before I watch it and say I'm going to guess that it's pretty accurate to the book. What have we got here? Actress to watch, Kim Soo-jung from Train to Busan. Oh, hang on. Question. It's from Smokin' Aces. Have one of you ever met any Korean actresses or actors in real life? No.
Nope.
I could have, but I wouldn't know. When I was teaching at a university college, international college for a university in Brisbane a few years back, there were a few students that came through, and there was one girl that I thought might have been a K-pop, or like had something to do with K-pop, but that was just my gut instinct, but I could be wrong. But no, I've not met any Korean actors or actresses. I've met Australian ones, and I've met English ones, and I've met US ones. Eric, did I ever tell you my Jason Statham story?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right. I don't know if I've told this one. Guys, do I have a story for you? The day Corey met Jason Statham. This was a long time. This was like 10 years ago, man, when I was living in the UK and I was a musician. And a friend of mine, a girl I was kind of seeing at the time, she was actress, model, whatever she was, trying to get into that industry. She had an audition in London, and she was like, hey, do you want to hang out in London? And I had just played a show like the day before or something. And anyway, I was in London, and it was a Sunday afternoon, much like this. And she had the audition, and I went with her because, you know, she was like, I kind of want a male with me when I rock up, just because it'll put people off knowing what the whole casting couch thing is like. And anyway, she went for the audition, and I had some time to spare. So I was just like, how long are you going to be? And they were going to be a few hours or something. So I went to a local pub, and it was in Notting Hill. And I just went wandering, and I walked into this pub, and it was dead. And it was just a bunch of guys in the corner playing darts and drinking beer. And I went to the counter, and I ordered a beer. This guy comes up to me at the bar, and he was ordering a round of drinks for his friends. And he was just this short, bald, typical English guy. That's what English guys look like. And he just looked at me and said, "Do I know you?" I said, I had long hair back then, probably looked a little bit more like Johnny Depp than I do these days. And I was like, I don't think so, mate. He's like, have we worked together? I was like, nah, man, I'm an Aussie. I live in Manchester. Like, I'm just here for the day. He's like, you sure? I'm like, oh, maybe. Like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm in film. I was like, oh. He's like, are you an actor? And I'm like, nah, man, I'm not an actor, but I do get. When I was younger, man, I used to get, people used to just think I was an actor all the time. And I was like, oh, no, sorry, man, I'm not. I don't think we have worked together. I'm like, he's like, oh, and he was really nice. He's like, oh, no worries. Have a nice afternoon. And he went back to his friends playing darts. And then the guy at the bar was like, do you know him? I was like, have no idea who he is, mate. He's like, have you seen The Transporter? I was like, I think so. He's like, you know, The Transporter, Bull Guy, Lock, Stock, Snatch. I was like, yeah, I've seen those. And then he pointed back at the guy, and he's like, it's him. It's like, oh, shit, it is. So if I had realized that I was talking to Jason Statham, maybe I'd have a different career right now. I could have went, yeah, man, we were in that thing together, you remember? With Brad Pitt. And, but yeah, Jason Statham looks like a typical English bloke. So it's the thing, when you see actors in real life, they kind of just look like real people because they don't have the makeup and the lighting and all that stuff. So yeah, that was my Jason Statham story. But when I was living in the UK, I ran into a few actors and stuff, but that's the funniest story I have when it comes to actors. Eric, do you have any stories like that or not really?
No, I mean, there was one guy who was a celebrity, I guess you could call him, in the U.S. I was in an airport, I forgot what city, and the flight was delayed. And it was Richard Simmons' flight. You know who Richard Simmons is? Sweating to the Oldies?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was there. And he would dress exactly like he did in his videos to the airport. Like exactly how you would expect. And it was kind of odd. He was kind of weird. So I didn't really talk with him because he kind of creeped me out. But that's the only really celebrity that I've ever seen.
Did he try and Weinstein you?
No. No.
I'm not going there, Eric says.
I don't like to talk about that day.
Fair enough. Do Koreans or Japanese have Christmas themed movies? I would consider The Tower a Christmas movie as much as Die Hard's a Christmas movie, I guess. The Tower is basically the Korean version of The Towering Inferno, and it's set. Is it Christmas Eve? I'm pretty sure it's Christmas Eve, Eric.
Possibly.
Yeah. And there's the only Japanese movie I know off the top of my head. Is it The Nutcracker something? It's like an old 70s stop motion Ralph. I can't remember. But there's like an old. They did an English dub of it, and I remember watching it as a kid on Australian TV. Like, obviously, they did a dub with American actors or something. Oh man, I can't remember it. Just let me bring it up. It would probably be on YouTube, but it would be the English dub. But I'm pretty sure there's like an old late 70s, early 80s. Oh, is Tokyo Godfathers a Christmas film?
I don't remember when that was set.
I got a feeling that.
But possibly.
I got a feeling that was set over Christmas too. But I'm just trying to remember the Japanese. I'm positive. Just give me a second. I've got like a list of movies here. Nutcracker.
Yeah, I think
Nutcracker Fantasy. It's called.
okay.
It's a Japanese. And originally it was a Japanese stop motion Christmas film, but obviously it had the dub. It's like that Rankin Bass stuff. Do you remember any of that? Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty the Snowman?
Oh, yeah.
All those traditional 80s or 70s Christmas specials. It's got that vibe, but it's technically a Japanese film.
The last third of Survive Style 5 takes place at Christmas time.
That's true.
There's also a movie with Masami Nagasawa called Go Find a Psychic that takes place during Christmas. That was a pretty cool film.
Oh, yeah, somebody said The Tower, Tokyo Godfathers in the chat. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tokyo Godfathers is a Christmas film, technically. Somebody says, neither of you like Cure. We both love Cure. You need to go back and look at, like, the first thing Eric and I ever did together. We talked about how great Cure was, and it's like both of us, it's like one of our favorite Japanese films of all time. What else have we got here? Great story, Corey. Thank you. Somebody said, do you guys think Mike Takashi should keep going after his recent milestone, or do you think he should cap off his career? Do you think he has some really great films left in him? Eric, I'll leave that one to you, considering you just made a whole film series about him.
I don't know. I think I do like some of his recent stuff. I thought Blade of the Immortal was entertaining. I really liked As the Gods Will for its lunacy and Lesson to the Evil, and Harakiri and 13 Assassins. So those are kind of the Phoenix Wright I like too, Ace Attorney. So those are kind of his highlights from the 2010s maybe. But yeah, I mean, he's got one coming out next year that looks kind of odd. It's called like Laplace Witch or something, which could be kind of interesting. Right. So yeah, I watch anything he does. I think maybe he's kind of it all depends on who gives him something. You know what I mean? Mm. So if somebody wants him to do some more gangster films or something else, he'll be willing to do anything, I think.
All right, I'm going to let you talk. I need to go to the bathroom. I'll give you one more question. What genre of film do you think Koreans like the best? I'll be back.
What Koreans like the best? What do Koreans like the best? I don't know. I think genre of film. Let's take a look at some of the highest grossing Korean films of all time. Let me look that up right now for you. All right, so here we go. You got The Admiral Roaring Currents. That's kind of an action flick. Ode to My Father. That's a melodrama. Veteran, drama action. So it looks like you got some The Host, The Thieves. So at least in terms of box office here, it looks like you got, more genre-related films. Miracle in Cell Number 7, Assassination, Masquerade. So, I was expecting a few more dramas on here, The King and the Clown was number 9 on the highest grossing Korean films based on admissions, which is, that would be more of the, even though it was a mainstream film, it's definitely one that's a little bit less, I don't know what you'd say, common. Taxi Driver. So it looks like there's quite a few genre films here. And I don't know. I think maybe thrillers, action movies seem to be up here pretty high, and melodrama. So those would be the big ones here, it looks like. So that's probably what I would say. Corey, I was just going through to answer this question. I just fired up the highest grossing South Korean films of all time to kind of just get an idea.
All right, so what do we have?
And you got The Admiral as number 1.
Yeah,
that's kind of an action flick.
Yeah, historical.
You have a few
action.
melodramas. Ode to My Father and Miracle in Cell Number 7 are up there. And then there's some other stuff like Veteran, Assassination, Taxi Driver. So it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of like romantic comedies up here. Where's My Sassy Girl? Maybe that didn't. Yeah, that one's not in the top 10 anymore, at least. So,
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I messed up your question. Sorry, Lalo. It wasn't what genre of films do Koreans like the best. It's what genre of film do Koreans do the best. Sorry, I was busting to piss. I've just had 2 beers in like an hour.
And I somehow answered that question. I don't know how well I answered it.
Oh, who cares? You did your best, Eric. I'm sorry, mate. Hey, it was an interesting topic, at least.
Yeah.
All right, so I think they, if you've seen my channel and you know my tastes, obviously I think they do thrillers the best. Eric, what about you?
I would say thrillers and romantic comedies, actually.
Yeah. What is it about romantic comedies that you like rather than American ones?
Man, I don't know. I think, for some reason their female leads come off a lot better. For some reason, maybe it's the way they're written. They seem to play with the genre a lot too. Like Couples would be an example where it really has a totally different storytelling structure. And they just seem more, I would say more pure, I guess, or say, a little bit more idealistic and less abrasive. Like I tend to not like abrasive potty humor and juvenile frat boy gags and stuff. So, which is why I don't like Sex is Zero. And, it was kind of an Americanized rom-com. But, it's kind of a more mature romantic comedy from South Korea in general.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like thrillers, obviously, because they just do things like, have you seen I Saw the Devil? Have you seen Memories of... you need to watch these movies. Obviously, Old Boy is considered a masterpiece by most people, and I think it's pretty clear that if you try and replicate that in a US setting, it doesn't work. And the same can be said about the romantic comedies like My Sassy Girl. I had no idea they attempted to remake that, and they did, and clearly they failed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the whole remake thing is something that you have, there's a whole culture thing that you can't replicate, unfortunately.
Yeah, another good example is Pulse. I mean, you see the remake of that film. Like, the filmmakers for the remake didn't even understand the original film before they remade it.
Well, then you've got a bunch of other things. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. Corey has an idea for a monthly show next year. Eric, if you lived in Australia, you would be on this show, but unfortunately you don't. If you come and visit me one day, you can. But I want to put this idea to you guys, and we'll see what you think. So one of my mates in Brisbane, Nathan, who's like my oldest friend, he's been in a few videos with me occasionally when we've talked about, I think we talked about 47 Ronin, and we did the Attack on Titan reviews together. We were talking the other day because I caught up with him because I haven't seen him in almost 12 months. And I was thinking about what I want to do with this channel and how I want to grow it. And I've said that I'm planning on doing like a 3-camera setup, but I haven't really said why I want to do that. Now, one of them will be for duo reviews, like when my sister and I do stuff. Like when we've done it in the past, it's just been 1 camera, but I think it would be more interesting with the 3-camera setup in this room once I get it finished. Like I'm in Brisbane now, I can watch movies with my sister more, and I think you guys like Amy, so it'll be good for her to, it'd be good for both of us to be able to interact, spend more time together and do those kind of reviews. And I was like, well, if I'm going to spend the money on doing that setup, then I need to just do more than, a review like once a month with my sister or something. I was like, well, what can I do with one of my best friends? And we were talking, and we were like, well, maybe we can do like a versus show. We take 2 movies and we watch them. So for example, it would be in this room. We'd be both sitting here, and I'd have the this kind of setup happening. It wouldn't be live. I'd have a webcam up there, and we would do an audio commentary. So for example, we had one idea. I've never seen Dragon Ball Evolution, believe it or not, because it's one of those movies. It's one of those films it's one of those things I refuse to watch that. Now I thought, what can we do? Like there's like 2 Dragon Ball there's 3 Dragon Ball films that I'm aware of. There's the Dragon Ball Evolution, there's a Taiwanese Dragon Ball movie, and there's a Korean Dragon Ball movie. Yeah, there's 3 live action Dragon Ball movies, believe it or not. Now, I've managed to find a copy of the Taiwanese version on DVD. So it was officially released in Australia years ago. So I've got a version of that. I've got that coming, and it's really easy to find a copy of Dragon Ball Evolution on DVD. You just go to your local trash can and there's one sitting in there. So I thought, well, we could film us doing a commentary track for both of those movies, but then release that later. But we could then do a review, like kind of a duo review, but like a versus type thing. Like if you had to put one of these as a winner, which one is the better Dragon Ball film? And then obviously those would take a lot more time to edit, and I would include footage from both films and stuff like that, and then include footage of us, riffing on the films as well. But then I could release the commentaries as separate videos, like I did with the Indian stuff. But I got in trouble for doing that because I actually included footage from the film, which I wouldn't do if I did another commentary. So I thought that could be interesting. What do you think, Eric? Do you think that would work?
I think that's a sweet idea. You could do like original Asian movies and their remake.
That's what I was
thinking.
thinking.
Type thing too.
When you mentioned Pulse, that was an idea I had. Well, I thought I could do, I was at Kmart the other day because a lot of the stuff in this room comes from Kmart, like the chairs, and like I've got a little table here and stuff. And they had a copy of The Uninvited for like $2 on DVD, the remake of A Tale of Two Sisters. I'm like, what I wouldn't do is do like which one's better out of those two, because obviously it's A Tale of Two Sisters. But then I was thinking, I was looking through the DVDs that came up, because obviously they're cheap DVDs, like $2, $4 DVDs. And there was another one there. It was Mirrors, the Kiefer Sutherland film, which is a remake of Into the Mirror. And I'm like, that could be a good one. So you have The Uninvited and Mirrors, and you have to choose one. Like, which one is the better film? You have no choice, even if you think they're both terrible, which they both probably are. I haven't seen either of them. But I'm like, oh, that could be a fun show. Like, do one of them a month. Obviously, they take a lot longer, but, I want to grow the channel and I want to grow, like, the community. I'm like, what's a good way to do that? But yeah, that's one of those things. If you're in Brisbane, man, we could be
Yeah.
we could be doing those. But it's all right. We'll do it one day. Maybe we can work out how to do a live stream of that. I don't know. All right.
Yeah.
What have we got? Eric, you remember if Il Maire American remake The Lake House was good?
I have not seen The Lake House, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Oh, hang on. Do you think you lose a lot of the movies with the subtitles and translations? So basically, when we're watching a film, are we missing out on stuff that we wouldn't get as foreigners because we're focusing on the subtitles and the translation from Korean to or Japanese to English?
I think maybe if there's some wordplay or something like a specific word that doesn't have a really good English translation, that could have an effect. But in terms of just my eyes moving up and down, it's so natural now. I don't think I really miss anything in terms of the visuals. And
I think we might miss out on some like cultural things or maybe some slang or something. I mean, I'm sure I could play. I'm guessing most of you guys watching right now aren't Aussie, so if like, I'm sure I could like show Eric an Australian movie and it would have Australian isms and Australian English in it, and you would have no idea, even though they're speaking English, you would have no idea what the hell they're saying. So maybe little things like that, I guess. But I think for the majority of it, I think we get it. Like I've never once said that I'm an expert or anything, and I think Eric's the same. Like we're just guys that like Asian movies.
I think cinema has a certain universal aspect to it. Like the first time I saw Tokyo Story, which is a Japanese film from 1953, I actually associated with that family. So I mean, like, so it's it's pretty it's very easy to connect if the film is made well.
That's what I think. Like I've watched so many movies, and this is what I don't like about. I'm sorry to get political, but like the identity politics thing and people trying to say, well, you like when people have told me that it's a fetish because I like Asian films or some crap. It's like, well, if a movie's made well, then like I've watched movies, and I'm sure you have too, where they didn't have English subtitles and you still watch them, and you still, if they're well performed and well structured and stuff, you can still watch them and understand them.
Yep.
Man, a good movie is a good movie, and a good story is a good story, no matter where you are and what language you speak or whatever. What are your thoughts on A Werewolf Boy and Sorry, A Voice from the Heart? I'll be honest, I haven't seen either of those.
Werewolf Boy, I saw that one. That one was actually pretty good. It was kind of a thriller. It sounds cheesy, but it was actually a pretty good flick. It had some pretty good suspense sequences in it and stuff, so I like that one.
Cool. What have we got next? The Korean, I think this is a statement rather than a question, but I'll read it anyway. The Korean film The Villainess was a remake of La Femme Nikita, and it was awful. Have you seen The Villainess yet?
I will on Wednesday. It's coming out on DVD in America on Wednesday or Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything because I'd rather just wait for to watch Eric's review. I remember I said I enjoyed it. I think the hardcore Henry rip-off stuff at the start and the end of the film that you see in the trailer will be a bit off-putting for some people. If you're nauseous and you don't like the shaky cam stuff, I enjoyed it. I don't know if it'll be on my best of list for the year, but it's definitely worth watching. I'll tell you that. Like, are you just buying the DVD or Blu-ray, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I blind bought the DVD Blu-ray combo pack.
Well, see, you will not. It's definitely worth purchasing if you're a fan of Korean cinema. And let's face it, not a lot of stuff. Is that getting a US release? Like it's an actual US release, Blu-ray?
Yeah, the actual physical release. Yeah.
So there you go. So it's worth buying just for that, to support them for
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Eric knows and I know, and those of you who purchase stuff will know if you have to purchase this stuff from Korea, then you're going to pay like 5 times that amount. I've bought Blu-rays of Korean films from Amazon and they've cost me $10. So, and if I bought the same thing in Korea, it'd be 50. So, all right. There's a Korean Dragon Ball movie. Yes, there is. I have no idea how I will ever see it, but I know it was made. You can Google this stuff. You look at Dragon Ball live action films. Turns out Dragon Ball Evolution wasn't the first, and probably wasn't the worst. Let's be honest. Are you guys DC or Marvel fans? I'm going to answer this with I don't give a shit about comic book movies. Sorry to disappoint. I like Batman, but like Tim Burton's Batman from when I was like 5 years old. I like Batman and Batman Returns. I liked Wonder Woman when I saw that. Guardians of the Galaxy was pretty good. The first Iron Man was good. Stopped watching comic book movies. The last one I probably saw was Guardians of the Galaxy, I think. And I haven't kept up with them. I don't care about Thor. I think Thor is a completely boring and pointless character. Nothing against Chris Hemsworth. I quite like him, but I just don't care. Every week there's a new comic book movie coming out. Every week. So, Eric, do you give a shit about comic book movies?
I watch them as like a change of pace, just as like, because I like brainless stuff too. And although I would say, I don't know if I had to choose. I don't really read comic books. Heck, I've just started reading manga, the past year or two, and that's ridiculous for somebody who watches Asian movies. But I would say it's hard to choose between. If you wanted me to choose between the new universes, I would choose Marvel, because the DC is kind of stumbling a little. I did like Wonder Woman quite a bit. And, I would say in the last 10 years, ever since like Iron Man came out, I would say the first Avengers film I liked. Winter Soldier I liked quite a bit. Logan I liked.
Yeah, I saw Logan. Logan was good.
Yeah, those would be like my top 4, I would say, from the past decade or so. I tend to kind of like them, but I like them a lot less than what their reputations would expect me to like them. You know what I mean? So I think the big problem is that the number of films, I think, may not be like as great as I initially expect when you look at the numbers, but they chew up a lot of the budgets for the companies, the production companies. So if you're talking about event films, they chew up, in my opinion, too much of the budgets. I would rather see, a better variety of stuff instead of always, having the comic book stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, there are our thoughts on comic book movies. I liked Logan as well, but you know why I liked Logan? Because it wasn't a comic book movie. It was basically It was basically a Western. That's why it worked. And it was directed by James Mangold, who I like as a director. I don't know. I know Thor. What is it? Ragnarok or Thor 3, whatever. That was filmed like I don't know. Maybe I'm pissed off about that because it caused me issues when I was trying to get to work every day. They filmed that in Brisbane. Chris Hemsworth, I think there's a lot about that movie where he was like, I don't want to make movies in America anymore. I just want to be comfortable in my own backyard. He lives in Byron Bay, which is about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive from Brisbane. And obviously he lives here with his wife and kids. And I think with the Thor movie, he has short hair now. I think that's because he doesn't want to wear a wig anymore, and he has the power to say, I'm not wearing that fucking wig anymore. The film was made in Brisbane and on the Gold Coast, so he didn't have to go out of his way. It was like, jump in the car, drive an hour, I'm at work. And they filmed a lot of that out the front of the school I was working at. Was it last year? It must have been last year when they were filming that. I remember I had a lot of my students, like every day, I'd have a class and I was meant to have like 30 students, and I'd have like 3 students in my class. And then the next day, students would rock up and I'm like, where were you yesterday? And they're like, oh, we were outside getting selfies with Chris Hemsworth. and they'd show me their selfies with Chris Hemsworth. I'm like, I need to do my job, Chris Hemsworth. Stop taking selfies with my students. But you know, comic book movies. I'm just Hollywood in general. I'm kind of enjoying watching it burn, to be honest.
Well, the DC is having troubles again this weekend because Justice League seems to not be making quite as much money as they were hoping.
Oh, wow. I don't know much about that movie, but I know it was a clusterfuck. Because it was directed by...
Speaking of Hemsworth's hair, he doesn't have to wear a wig. They could just CG it on like they did with Henry Cavill's mustache.
Yeah,
Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard of it. Why can't he just shave his mustache? Or put a fake one on or something? I don't know. These people running these studios, I honestly think they have no idea what they're doing. All right, next one. Which character is an Asian movie... Which character in an Asian movie do you think you're the most like? Like, like me, as in personally? What do you guys think? I don't know. I hope it's not like Choi Min-sik and old boy, or Choi Min-sik and anything, really.
I Saw the Devil.
Oh no. Don't worry, I don't have like dead people under the floorboards. I have no idea. I don't know. They're just characters in movies. It's fantasy. I don't know. You guys would be the best to judge that. You've seen our stuff. What have we got next? What about which... Oh, okay. So which Ring movie is best? The US or Korean remake? So there was Ring Virus, which I think was first. Which was the Korean remake of The Ring. And then there was the Naomi Watts, the Australian connection there in the US. I like the US Ring. I think that's actually a pretty decent remake. And I remember thinking the Ring Virus was also pretty decent. Not all remakes are terrible. I think it just depends on how much they change and, you know, again, so I think the American Ring is actually pretty good. Eric, your thoughts on Ring remakes?
I actually very much enjoy the American remake of Ring. I thought it was pretty good, pretty solid. Ring Virus I actually rewatched last year, and that one I think just kind of that's a remake that I think does have kind of that pale imitation feel to it for me. It just didn't have the same. It's almost like they replayed the movie, but it just didn't have the same punch for me personally. So I thought that one was kind of dull.
Don't get me started on Ring 2.
Ring 2 I thought was good for like the first half to 2/3, and then the ending kind of hurt it definitely.
Yeah. Oh, the terrible CG. I'm talking about the US one here.
Oh, okay.
Which is directed by the Japanese director, so you can't blame Hollywood for that one.
No.
All right. Okay, somebody said, I speak Korean. The subtitles don't usually include the immense amount of curse words Koreans use, especially gangster films. I'm not surprised.
I know a few.
You know some curse words, eh? I see how it is. They come in handy when people are commenting from Korea on your channel?
No, I'll see them in real life once in a while if I don't want, the American people around me. I'll drop the S word in Korean a little bit or something like that.
Oh, there you go. All right, next question. If you had to choose only one Asian country to watch movies from, which one would it be? I would probably say South Korea, to be honest.
Man, that's hard.
Yeah, but then Japan's got... If I say... Look behind me. I've got all my, like, kaiju films behind me. I've got all my manga and anime and... I don't know. Can we just say Korea and Japan?
I'm going to do a video at one point explaining why watching movies from, like, 4 different countries is a huge advantage. Because certain countries, in general, do some things better than other countries in the film industries.
Yeah.
So, like, if I wanted a higher octane film, I'd watch a film from South Korea or Hong Kong. Because Japan's, like, big budget, higher octane blockbusters really they don't really hit the spot for me. Some of them are pretty bad.
Mm.
Whereas if I want like a horror movie, maybe like South Korea and Japan, or a thriller, I do South Korea. And Japan has a lot of like dramas and lower budget stuff that's either in limited release or like they're kind of hard to find. So I don't think Japan gets its due sometimes in terms of like a lot of the good quality stuff that they have that doesn't really get exported much.
Well, that's the problem. Like, a few people have asked me, because they know my taste, to review Museum, which came out like last year. Doesn't exist. You can get it on DVD. Good luck finding a Japanese DVD with English subtitles. The manga, I actually started reading online illegally. I'll admit, on one of those websites where an English speaker has translated the Japanese to English, and they've changed like the speech bubbles and stuff. And I read the first like 4 chapters. You can get it in Germany, you can get it in Spain, obviously Japan, but there is no English version of this manga that apparently was huge in Japan. I don't understand, why does this not exist? And then they've made a live action film of it, and all of its stuff that I love, and I can't read it and I can't watch the movie because Japan. I think that's my biggest issue. Like, why I would say Korea over Japan is because Korea makes their movies more accessible. They always, all the DVDs, pretty much 99% of the time, English subtitles. Japan, 99% of the time, no English subtitles. So it's kind of, I don't know. Like you said, there's so many movies that we miss out on because there are just no legitimate ways to watch them. And then, of course, there's like illegal downloads, and then there's like people that do their own subtitles. But again, I don't like to promote that. And sometimes a lot of the subtitles are just, they take the Japanese subtitle and they'll put it into Google Translate, and then they'll make the subtitle file, and I'm like, here you go. And like, that doesn't work because Google Translate doesn't understand grammar. All right, next one. DC's animated stuff is pretty good. I will agree there. I've enjoyed all the Batman, the animated series is one of my favorite cartoon series of all time. So I'll just scroll up a bit. What do you guys think of K-pop idols starring in Korean movies? Any examples where an idol was really good making a movie better, or even maybe made a movie worse? Look, I don't care for K-pop. I don't care for pop music in general. So I'm probably not the best person to answer this. I don't really, like I said, there are a few actresses in my list that did some K-pop stuff. I'm sure I've seen some movies with some terrible idols. And I really can't judge because I don't keep up to date with their film stuff or not their TV stuff or their K-pop careers. So I don't know. Eric, do you ever bother with K-pop?
In terms of the music, I go to a Korean restaurant right around the corner from my house, especially in the wintertime. I go there at least twice a week because the soups are so good. But they always got K-pop on while I'm there. And yeah, a lot of it's, at least the stuff that they show there is like, I don't know, it's just really mass produced.
Yeah, it's
and
so
I don't really
cookie
like,
cutter.
I don't really like the rhythm of the songs. They're just all kind of samey. Whereas then I go home and I listen to some Band-Maid, which is, the Japanese rock band, which is the way to do it. You know what I mean? But I'm sure I've seen certain movies and K-dramas where a K-pop star gave a really good performance, but I just don't remember what they were.
Yeah, I would say
off the top of my head.
The one off the top of my head that comes to mind is Top, or T.O.P. I think he's been in some decent flicks and has given some good performances. I've never seen Big Bang. I don't care about Big Bang. I know they toured Australia. Was it last year? I don't care. I don't care about... I'm wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt. Do you think I really care about K-pop? I'm sorry. You know, if you guys like K-pop, then all the more to you. What do we got here? Why does Eric not like The Departed?
Wow, where did that come? I think I mentioned that like one time,
I
like
think you
3
did.
months
Yeah.
ago.
Oh, people remember. It's
Yeah,
on
I
the
think
internet, man. People remember.
I have yeah, really. I have a whole plethora of problems. I
Oh,
think the main problem was uh, the Andy Lau's character in the original film was more complex and operated in a gray zone, whereas the remake, his same character just seemed very flat and one dimensional, just a big jerk. You know what I mean? I thought they kind of downplayed the complexity. Jack Nicholson hammed it up too much. It was 40 minutes too long. What other stuff here? Just overall, it had just kind of a, I don't know, a less mature vibe to me. Just overall, you know, just the I know whatever swear words or whatever, no big deal, but just the way they were using it, it just seemed like it was adapted by I don't know, somebody not really very good, and it won an Oscar for it. So who knows?
do you like Scorsese in general?
I like him. I think he has more misses than most people think, though.
Yeah. What are some of his misses?
Let's fire him up here. I know Cape Fear is one for sure.
Oh yeah, the original's way better.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
can't beat Robert Mitchum. I'm sorry. Robert
So he
Mitchum was
had
amazing.
let's
Goodfellas
see
though,
here.
man. Come on, Goodfellas is a classic.
Oh, that's awesome. I haven't seen
Taxi Driver.
Silence. Wolf of
No.
Wall Street I really liked.
Wolf of Wall Street for me just seemed like a remake of Goodfellas. It was
Yeah, a little
so
bit more.
similar.
Yeah.
Even
Hugo was
DiCaprio.
okay.
I didn't bother with that one.
Shutter Island I thought was just kind of lame.
Well, the book was. I'm a big fan of Dennis Lehane, the author. He has a fantastic book series. He had a book that Ben Affleck's first film, Gone Baby Gone, was based on
Mm.
a book in
Yeah,
that
that was a good one.
Kenzie and Gennaro series. And Ben Affleck made another film based on one of his, was it Live by Night or something? But
Yeah.
he's a Boston writer and he's excellent. But he wrote Shutter Island, and I remember reading Shutter Island and I was excited about it because it was a new Dennis Lehane book. Oh, he also wrote Mystic River, the Clint Eastwood
Oh.
movie. Yeah, the guy's a absolutely phenomenal writer. He writes and he lectures in how to write, basically, at a university. Man, I remember picking up Shutter Island. And, I don't know how old that book is now. It must be pretty old because the movie's got to be old. I remember getting like a third of the way into the book and going, this is shit. And then I remember predicting the end of the book, and then I ended up reading the entire book, and I was right. I was like, and then they made the movie, and the movie was, as an adaptation, it's pretty spot on. I'll give them that, but it's a really weak story to begin with, and it's definitely Dennis Lehane's worst book. And as a Scorsese film, it's pretty rubbish as well.
Yeah, I didn't like The Aviator that much. Gangs in New York was pretty good. Casino would have been way better if they just edited Sharon Stone out of the movie entirely. I couldn't stand her. I mean, I know that was part of the point, but I thought they spent too much time. Goodfellas is awesome. New York Stories I didn't like. Last Temptation of Christ I kind of didn't like that. So Color of Money I like though.
All right.
So King of Comedy is awesome. Raging Bull, yeah. So he's had some duds in my opinion, but yeah, I like him. He's a solid director.
Oh, he's a better director than like a lot of his contemporaries. Like you look at like Francis Ford Coppola. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Maybe like two or three really good ones I think of him, and then everything else is
just rubbish. Yeah. All right, what have we got? Eric, do you still have candy from Halloween? or did you eat it all that night?
Yeah, I bought way too much
Oh,
candy.
did you?
I bought, yeah, because it ended up raining. So it was kind of
Ah.
a crappy day. So I only got like a few dozen kids. So I still got some candy left for sure. It'll take me probably a month or two to get rid of it all.
Will you eat it or just give it away?
I'll have a piece a night. They're the little bars. I just have a
Yeah.
little piece with my espresso based drink.
Oh, fancy. We didn't actually get any. Well, it's Halloween's weird in Australia. It's a weird one because in the past, like I would probably say 5 years or so, it's become quite popular for people to celebrate it. For me, I obviously never did because anybody. I think people my generation, I think their kids are the ones that are celebrating it. But definitely for me, it was always an outsider looking in. I loved everything about Halloween growing up. Or watching all. It was weird. We got all those Halloween specials and stuff, but nobody ever like celebrated it. But in the last like 5 years, man, like I had to go because obviously I just moved back to Brisbane, and it was around the time Halloween was happening, and I was at the local, not supermarket, but like mall. I guess you guys would call it a mall. We call it just a shopping center. And there was a department store there, and there were people everywhere. It was so busy. It was like Christmas. I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I walked into the shop's called Big W. It's like a Kmart Target style department store. I walked in there, and there were just parents and kids going ape shit crazy because they're all getting their last minute Halloween costumes and stuff. So I think it's definitely a new phenomenon, and I actually like it. I think it's cool that we're celebrating. Well, it's weird. I think people aren't. They're not celebrating it as in a traditional sense. It's more of a let's have some fun and let our hair down and let kids dress up and do whatever. But there are a lot of Australians. If you hear, the talk of Halloween, there's particularly older Australians. They're like, it's an American holiday. Why is that old guy just talking like American? I don't know. But yeah, older people probably are very against it because it's not it's un-Australian, as they would say. It's not it's got nothing to do with us. But I don't care. I like it. I think it's cute. Yeah, I like Halloween. I wouldn't go to the effort that you go to, like buying the treats and the decorations and stuff. But the pumpkin's cool. I like the pumpkin that you had. I'm guessing that
Yeah,
pumpkin's long gone.
it was fake. So I
Oh, it
have
was
it in
fake. Oh, I thought it was a
in
real one.
storage for next year.
All
Yeah,
right. It
it's
looks pretty
it's
real.
all my mother's fault. My mother used to just decorate the house like insane for the holidays. So now I feel like I got to do a little bit.
Yeah. Well, somebody said I thought so. Is Halloween British? I don't know how Halloween works, man. Somebody asked on here. I think it originally was. Is it like a pagan thing or a Celtic
Maybe.
thing? Who knows? It's just we live in a multicultural world now. Well, Australia is very multicultural, so we just kind of take things from everywhere. We don't really have a lot of the only like real culture we have, I guess, is Aboriginal or Indigenous culture. But even then, it's very depends on what region of Australia you're in. Everything's different there. Anybody else have any questions for us? We've been going for 2.5 hours. It's late. Eric started this at like midnight. He needs to sleep. And Corey needs to get some more water and stuff. So we'll hang around for like 5 more minutes. Any questions? Eric, do you have anything you want to say? Do you want to plug your channel? Even though everybody probably knows who you are anyway. Is there anything you want to plug or
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, my YouTube channel is the Asian Movie Enthusiast. So I've been doing a lot of, well, not a lot, but I've been mixing it up even more lately. I've been adding more DVD collection videos, which is a good playlist for anybody who wants just general recommendations. I will finish the Miike playlist, I think the first week of December. So that'll be like done. I'm still doing Asian horror stuff, and then I'm doing a spattering of other stuff too. I got some plans for next year too that I'm kind of ironing out and trying to figure out what I want to do. But those are still in my brain, working out.
Have you got any ideas for like these video cast podcasts that you'd like to do?
Oh, I'm sure we could do a lot of different types
I know.
of
Are there
things.
any that you've thought you've had on the back burner for a while that you're like, I'd like to talk about that?
Let me see. I got a
Right.
little Word doc.
Yeah, I remember because we've over the few that we've done, even with Jason and Ray, we've mentioned stuff, and I forget because got so much going on.
Oh, we were going to do that Oscar thing where
Yeah.
we say, okay, what did South Korea submit, and whether or not we agree or disagree. And if we disagree, we pick a film to submit for the Oscar for that year.
That's a good one.
And we go through like the last, whatever, 10, 20 years, whatever.
I think we need to hold off on that until the Oscars next year,
Yeah.
obviously. I think South Korea did they picked a Taxi Driver this year.
That is a good choice for this
Yeah,
year.
about time they went with something like that. That's the obvious choice. I think if any film in recent years has a chance, then that's the one, personally.
I know. Maybe we could do an anime video, pick some anime,
Yeah.
maybe a few years or something like that, and go through those years. What else we got here?
Okay, somebody said, I watched Taxi Driver after your recommendation the other day, Corey, and I have to say I loved it. Thanks so much. Hope the film gets a lot of nominations this year. Me too. I'm looking for... Those of you who want to know what I'll be doing, I'm just going to continue putting this studio together, getting things up and running for next year. Hopefully next year I want to have like a proper schedule, like these live streams and stuff. I want to... Eric and I, because I like Eric. I like doing these with Eric. And, I like it just to be you and me, mainly Eric. Like we would be on every one together. And then occasionally we'd have, another person on. But I think it's just something we need to do once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got that. Just the regular stuff. I'll be making my list videos, which always seem to do well. Hello, somebody's saying hello. I can't read your name. It's in Korean by the looks of it. So I'll be doing a top 10 best Korean films of 2017. Unfortunately, for the first time ever, I'll be doing a top 10 worst films from Korea in 2017. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of bad stuff. I'll be doing a top 10 Asian films in general. So that'll be Korea, Japan, India, China. Probably that will be it, I think, for list videos. I don't think I've seen enough Chinese films to do a top 10. I've definitely not seen enough Japanese films to do a top 10. I could probably do a top 10 worst Asian films in general. So I could probably do a top 10 best Asian movies and a top 10 worst Asian movies, which will probably have a few Korean movies in there.
Don't fabricate your list too much, Corey.
Oh, I won't. Look, Fabricated City's going to be in there, but it's not going to be as high as a lot of you guys think. And my top 10 list, like of best movies, keeps changing. The thing is, when you do these reviews, I don't know if you're the same, Eric, but sometimes I'll watch a movie and I'll go, yeah, that was average, or no, that was bad. And then maybe I was in a bad mood when I watched it, or maybe something was just going on and I didn't give the film my full attention, and then I watched the movie again and then my opinion changes. Those of you who've been watching my reviews recently will know I've stopped giving them scores. The whole giving a score thing was just something I was trialing for a while, and I mentioned that's what I was doing. I think scores are just arbitrary. They're meaningless, to be honest. If you really need a score, and I happen to be reading your comments and I read a comment, then I'll tell you, oh yeah, I think this is a 7 out of 10 or whatever, but I really don't think it's all that important. But yeah, there's been a few films I've watched more than once this year, and my opinion has changed on them. Particularly Okja. I remember when I first watched that, I flew to Sydney to watch that film. Like, it's a Bong Joon-ho film. Bong Joon-ho was there. Stephen Ewan was there. The assistant director was there. The cinematographer, like everyone that worked on the movie was there. And obviously I did the review with Adele, and I wanted to meet Adele and hang out with Adele. And, we both watched that movie together, and we did the review, and we're like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then I remember, like, when it came to Netflix, I watched it again. I was like, that was bloody terrible. What was I thinking? And then I said to it, and then Adele did the same thing. Like, I think she watched it again and then did her own review for her own channel, and she said she didn't like it as well. And we both had that same, I think it was in the moment, because Bong Joon-ho's, he's so big, and like when you're there and he's in the room with you and everyone that's worked on this film, and there's this big kind of vibe, and you really want to like the movie, and there are a lot of good things I like about that film, I'm not gonna lie. There's stuff, all the South Korean stuff I enjoyed, except the poop jokes and stuff, but that's okay if you're making a children's film. And I'll be honest, I think it would have been more out there and more extreme if he just made a kid's film, rather than trying to go for all the sappy stuff that he did. But yeah, that's a perfect example of a film I watched and went, yeah, it's pretty good. And then watched it. I've watched it twice now on Netflix, and my opinion changed the first time, and then it stayed the same the third time I watched it. I'm like, yeah, I was right the second time watching that. It's not that good. Actually, I think it's quite bad. And then the film that had the opposite effect was Midnight Runners. I watched that movie, and I was in a cinema with 13-year-old girls, and you've got these two idols, I think they're idols, or they're TV stars, and they're in the movie, and there's scenes where they're like training, and one guy's got his shirt off, and you're in a cinema, you're a grown man, and you're in a cinema with 13-year-old girls, and they're all clapping and woo, and they're acting like girls, yeah. And then that put me in a bad mood, and then I reviewed the movie when I got home, and then I watched it again, and my opinion, and I'm like, I really like this movie. And then I've thought about it since, and I keep thinking about it. I'm like, that was a really I gave that film a really hard time, and I think that was due to its target audience. Yeah, you just have I have moments like this. I can admit I'm wrong sometimes when it comes to films, and I think it does. The theater experience does cause a lot of issues. This is why I prefer to watch films at home. Because you go to a cinema and it's like, man, most people are just absolutely annoying. I know Australia is, I've heard horror stories about China, like Sean from Silver Spoons told me several stories about, like, he's like, do not ever watch a movie at a cinema in China. I've heard people talk about the US, like people, depending on the film, like people will stand up and clap and yell at the screen as if it's like an interactive experience. And it's similar. We do that, get that occasionally in Australia, but sometimes, man, it's, yeah, the theater experience. I'm a person who's not very social, and you put me in a big theater and it's full of horny 13-year-old girls watching a movie, and that'll just put me in a bad mood because they're on their phone their entire time as well, and they're not really invested in the film. That happens quite a lot when I see Korean and Chinese movies, particularly with young people. So I don't know, we'll see. All right,
yeah, it's pretty bad.
So what's the movie experience like for you when you go to the cinema?
I don't go quite as much just because I don't get that many Asian movies here. But when I did see The Raid 2 a few years ago, this was in New York City, a lady actually got up and started taking pictures of her kids watching the movie with her flash on in the middle of the
Oh,
film.
that's an appropriate film to take your kids to.
So her camera's facing the audience, and you
Oh,
see these huge
Christ.
flashes in a pitch black room until two big guys got up and told her to put the camera away, and then she put the
Oh, of
camera
course
away.
she did.
But I have seen movies in Japan. It's fantastic. Very well behaved audiences.
Oh yeah, well, in Japan, that's my like when I've been to Japan and I really loved. I never had the experience of watching a film in Japan, but I can imagine knowing what my other experiences in Japan were like, and I would say Korea is probably quite similar. We've got a question from Alice. Have you guys ever met in person? No, we've never met. One day we will meet.
Yeah, one day we will.
We might meet halfway. Maybe we can meet in Asia somewhere. Probably easier. So Eric and I, because I would literally have to travel to the other side of the world, and same for Eric. So maybe we can go to the middle of the world and meet in like Japan or Hong Kong or Korea or something. Yeah, I love Japan, man. Like, and I know that's from a foreigner's perspective. I've got friends that have lived in Japan for decades, and they're like, Corey, you do not know Japan. It's not this beautiful, lovely place that you think it is. But anyway, all right. What else have we got? Any other Asian cinema YouTubers you guys wish to collaborate with? I loved your videos with fake plastic films. Is there any plans to get him back on? I have not heard. I have no idea what's going on with him. I don't know what's happened with Ryan. Everybody asks me this question every time. His channel's just stopped, and I had him on Skype, and I can probably bring up my Skype right now. Is he even still on my Skype list? Yeah, he's still on my Skype list. Let's see what our last...
It had to have been at least 7 or 8 months ago.
Oh, dude, I haven't spoken to him. February 2017. So last we spoke, he was like talking about studying film, whether that was going to be in the States or Korea. I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. His channel just stopped. I just hope he's okay. I'm assuming he probably, just, I don't know. He just stopped or whatever.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. What else we got? Shin Choi. Hey Corey, I know you don't like, I can't read Korean, I'm sorry. Which is Korean about traditional Korean history, but have you seen Masquerade? Yes, I have. I've seen Masquerade. I'll just have to Google whatever this is that you've put in Korean and see what will come up. Korean history. Is that what that means? I will do Masquerade eventually. It's a good film. Eric, your thoughts on Masquerade?
Yeah, I very much enjoyed that one. That one actually made one of my top 20, 25 lists or whatever that we did. So yeah, that was very good. Byung-hun Lee was great in that film.
I'm actually looking forward to watching Midnight Runners. Looks quite funny. It was funny. The second time I watched it without 13-year-old girls surrounding me, it was really enjoyable, and a movie that does a thing I like, where you think it's one thing and then it takes a turn and it leads you down a dark path. It was great. The day I see a Korean movie in the theater will be the day Jesus comes back. From Foreign Film Fanatic. I'm so sorry. I think I'm really blessed with the fact that, I have not so much in Brisbane. In Melbourne, it was easy because I lived in the CBD and the theater was 5 minutes walking distance from my house. In Brisbane, it's a bit different. I'll have to take, when I saw The Outlaws and what was the Thai thing? Bad Genius. I had to go into the city, but I'm not that far from. I'm about 10 minutes from the city, so that's not too bad by train. But unfortunately, not everything plays in the city. It usually plays at Mount Gravatt or Sunnybank, which is like the Asian area of Brisbane, which is probably about 25 minutes to a half an hour drive away. So it won't be one of those instances where I can walk to the cinema 5 minutes before the movie starts, sit down, watch the movie, come back, have everything ready to go, sit down, film a review. It'll be, I have to battle traffic. So I'll have to leave an hour before the movie, get through the traffic, find a car park, pay for parking, go to the cinema, sit there, watch the movie, and then do the opposite coming back. And it's probably, the traffic's probably worse because you're coming back through the city. And a lot of the time, these movies play at like 2:30 in the afternoon. So by the time they're finished, it's like 5 o'clock when everybody's finishing work. And then it takes me 2 hours to get home. And then I'm like, I don't want to talk about this movie now. So it won't be as... The movies, it'll probably go back to what it was before I moved to Melbourne, where it would be maybe like one new release a week and then hopefully 2 other videos. Hang on. I'll just move this out of the way. Thanks for answering these questions. Do you guys know of any interesting Asian documentaries? Are documentaries something you guys are even interested in? Yeah, I've seen a few. There was one, it was Passage to Busan, which was at the Korean Film Festival. I didn't review it, but it was fantastic. Eric, have you got any Asian documentaries you can recommend?
Looking it up right now. We got Old Partner. That was a Korean film. I think that one was about like a farmer and one of his cattle. It was actually really good. Let's see here. My Love, Don't Cross That River. That's another Korean one. I think that's about an elderly couple. That was pretty good. I don't know if you could count. There were actually 2 Mongolian films that were released back in the day. Let me check which ones they were. I don't think they were technically documentaries, but they were pretty close. Let's see here.
Yeah, somebody said there's a lot of great Asian food docs. Yeah, there are. What was that one about the sushi? There was one about ramen. Something Dreams of Sushi.
Oh, I never saw that one.
Yeah, that was really good. And then I'm positive there was The King of Ramen or something like that. I've seen a couple that have just been like on Australian TV. I'm like, oh, I'll watch this. And they're always amazing. The food ones are great. You learn so much about the people and the culture, and then you get really hungry. You want to eat all the food.
There's actually one from Hong Kong. Let me look it up right now. It was like a mockumentary about pop music. Let me see if this The Heavenly Kings from 2006. It's got Daniel Wu. He directs and stars in it.
All right.
And it's about a boy band that earns popularity despite their actual lack of singing and acting and musical talent.
Right.
And it's pretty funny. It's pretty scathing in how the music industry works as well. So you might be interested in that one, The Heavenly Kings.
Okay. The one person I'd love to see you do a collab with, you can't because he's no longer with us, is Roger Swan. I have no idea who that is.
Oh yeah, he was good. He did a lot of Japanese horror reviews.
Okay.
This is going back to like 2007 to 2010.
Oh, is this like the beginning of YouTube?
Yeah, old school. And he was good. And he did a lot of vlogs because he was a teacher who taught in Japan.
Oh, right.
So he did a lot of, it was a lot of really interesting like cultural videos that he would go to places and do that. but he passed away. He was 23 years old from pancreatitis.
Oh,
It was like
shit.
just a random sudden attack.
That's horrible.
So, yeah, that was bad.
Oh, poor
Yeah.
guy. I'm
He was
sorry to
good
hear
though. His
that.
videos are all still up.
Are
If
they?
anybody wants to watch them.
I will binge watch them all. That's something I will do. I'm guessing he was quite popular.
Yeah, he's got some pretty good views.
He died in 2010. That's a shame. Poor guy.
Yeah.
So young. So it was a Japanese focus mainly, was it?
Yep, it was all Japanese.
Okay. Well, I guess if you live there, you may as well take advantage of it. I would just love a huge round table with all the Asian movie reviewers, along with the like Bae Logan and a few others. Who the hell is Bae Logan?
He's like a. I haven't listened to a lot of his stuff, but a lot of people like him. He seems to be fairly knowledgeable. He does a lot of commentaries on American releases of films.
Oh,
So he'll
that
be like
dude.
a commentator.
Is he the guy that
Yeah.
does the stuff for the those kung fu ones? Is that
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, that guy. He did the stuff for like 36 Chambers and all that. I think that was him. Ah, now I know who it is. I'm thinking, oh, this is a YouTuber. No, he's an actual professional. Did you guys see The Way Home? I need to refresh my memory on that one.
Let me look it up. I get that confused. There's The Way Home, and then there's something else. Let me just look
Yeah,
there.
The Way Home, 2002?
Yep.
Or is it 2010? Or am I looking at a different one? No, that's definitely not the one that comes up as a horrible... Oh, God. That looks... This isn't the movie. It has Dean Cain in it, so clearly not.
This is the one about a spoiled 7-year-old boy who visits his 70-year-old grandmother. It was a good movie. I have in my notes, but I don't really remember it that much because I saw it so long ago.
Yeah, I think I saw that on Australian... I think I saw it on SBS in Australia years... Like, that's 2002, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's been so long, guys. It's a thing. You watch so many... It looks pretty short, like an 80-minute film. Maybe I'll review it. I like the short films.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Like, people... because I started reviewing all the Indian films, I get... Like, the Indian audience is fantastic. Like, their interaction is amazing, but they just keep suggesting film after film after film. And the problem is Indian films are average 3 hours. And then I see a film like this and I'm like, oh, it's 80 minutes long. I could watch like 3 movies and review 3 films instead of 1 Indian film. That's why I try to just keep it to like 1 Indian film a week. Because I can't spend my entire time. Like that would be, that's just too much time. Would you do a collab with View World Cinema, Spanner's Germ, since he does a lot of Asian movies? Yes, we've been trying to organize something for quite some time. But, you know, he moved, I think, to Canberra, and then, yeah, it's just been a logistics thing. Okay, so Shin Choi says, recently saw it, made me cry like a baby, talking about the movie, what was it?
The Way Home?
Way Home, yeah. I'll have to watch it then. All right, we're almost at the 3-hour mark. I think 3 hours is enough. We'll try and get like one more question in. You guys have like 2 minutes left. Somebody, get your question in now. It's getting dark here. And I haven't got the lights set up properly. Come on, there's a bunch of you watching. You don't want to ask us any questions? You got 2 minutes. Corey has more beer to drink, and he needs to eat some food. What? I like drinking. It's fine.
No, it's good. So I'm a fancy sipper. I like to sip with my finger in the little whiskey. You know what I mean?
I like whiskey. I'll tell you a funny story because nobody is asking any questions. When I went to Taiwan last year, I've been to Taiwan quite a few times because it's the easiest Asian country to get to. Like you can get to Hong Kong, but Hong Kong's is like it's a place you go to go somewhere else a lot of the time. But from Brisbane to Taipei is only 8 hours on a plane, so it's just a straight direct flight. Anyway, I was there for Chinese New Year, and I have a lot of old students that I taught in the past that are Taiwanese and are now studying at uni in Taiwan. And I was there for Chinese New Year, and I was traveling all around Taiwan. And of course, every city I went to, I had a student that lived there, and they're like, come to my family gathering for Chinese New Year. So Corey was pretty much drunk for that entire holiday. And then one of my ex-students owns a bar in Taipei. So you can imagine how that ended up. It's like, hey, free booze.
No. Yeah.
And I remember being in Tainan, which is like the southern part of Taiwan. And there was a guy there. It was like one of my students' uncles. And he had like all these bottles of whiskey. And when he found out I liked whiskey, yeah, that wasn't... yeah. It was fun. You got to keep up with these old men, I tell you. He was like 70. And he could drink, that guy. All right. Okay, we have a question. Oh, we got 2 questions and then we're done. First one, what Aussie beer do you drink, mate? The one I'm drinking, I don't drink a lot of Aussie beers. I prefer Asian beer, to be honest, Japanese and Korean beer. I'm drinking Wild Yak. I don't know if you can see that at the moment. This is a Pacific Ale from... Where's this from? It's from Victoria, I think. It's quite good. It's crisp. It's light. I don't think it's like really heavy. I don't like really heavy beer, and the problem with Australian beer is most of it's heavy. We have a beer. There's a famous beer in Brisbane called 4X. But it tastes like shit, in my opinion. All right, last question. Overrated classic Asian movie. Overrated classic Asian movie.
I got one. It'll anger a lot of people. I'm going with Akira Kurosawa's Ikiru.
Okay.
I did not like that one. I thought the performance from Takashi Shimura was just really... It was like really schmaltzy and just like over the top. It was like a sad puppy dog look the whole film. So everybody loves that movie except for me, man. But yeah, I was not a fan.
I'm going to go with a movie we've already spoken about, Okja.
Is that considered a classic though?
Oh, I think for some people it is already a classic. Like the amount of love that movie gets. I think there's a lot of it's from like classic.
One of those samurai films you watched, one of the Lone Wolf and Cub films, a few of those you didn't like, right?
Yeah, I only really liked the first 2. I think, there was like 6 of them. Well, there's like 7 if you include like the American cut, but yeah, I think they're overrated, to be honest, in general. No, Okja is not a classic, but the way people talk about it, you'd think it was like the greatest movie ever made. Let's be honest. What about Foster's? Nobody drinks Foster's in Australia. That's a myth. They drink it in the UK. VB is some of the worst beer, but everybody loves it because it's cheap. VB is awful. Most Australian beer is awful unless you get like the smaller kind of, stuff like this. Most underrated movie, Asian movie.
You know what? I'll go with my favorite romance. It's a Chinese film called Green Tea from 2003. It doesn't really get any love at all, but I think it's fantastic.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Confession of Murder. I think that's really.
I was so confused. Man, you got me for like 5 seconds. Am I in Bizarro World?
Yeah, you are. This is like alternative Corey. Bizarro Corey. Underrated. I I don't know if they're underrated, but there are quite a few like Korean films I've seen that I would say they're more underseen than underrated. I think like when I mentioned Okja earlier, you know, that was clearly a joke. But I think a lot of casual viewers, God, I don't want to get myself in trouble, but the kind of people that go to the film festivals, you know, when I went to the Korean Film Festival, I didn't get to go to the Japanese one, but I got to see movies somehow. I can't say how I saw them, but somehow I managed to see them. The type of the pretentious people that go to the festivals and they sit there and they'll watch, you know, a random Korean movie because, oh my God, I'm at a Korean film festival. I'm so cultured. And they do that once every 5 years. And, or they, you know, and Okja just happens to be that movie for some people. And then they think, oh my God, it's because they feel like they can't criticize it for some reason. Yeah, there's just, I don't know. I think there are a lot of people out there that are casual viewers, and I'm not trying to say that we're like superior in any way, but it's like they like to feel good about watching something that isn't mainstream, and then they let you know about it, like in a really kind of pretentious way, I guess. Like the kind of, like I've had people that I've met just through friends and stuff and colleagues, and you'll get I'll talk about Korean films, and then somebody will mention something like, oh, Audition's a really great movie, and I'm like, what? Yeah, it is a great movie. Are we talking about Korean movies or Japanese movies? Oh yeah, we're talking about Korean movies, aren't we? I'm like, that's not a Korean movie. And they're the type of people that are like, oh, I'm going to the French Film Festival this weekend. Oh my God. I'm going to pick out my best beret and best scarf. So, anyway. Hello Ghost was underrated in Korea. I like The Truth Beneath. I think it's underrated. Yeah, I think there's a lot of movies out there that are underrated. I mean, you can look at our lists and things that we've done, and I'm sure there are some underrated gems on them. But I think that's it, guys. I'm really getting tired, and I need water. And the lighting is getting terrible in here, and I can't deal with it anymore. It's annoying me. But thank you so much, Eric.
No problem. It was a great joy.
Yeah.
And congratulations again on your goal or your new subscriber achievement.
Thanks, man. Congratulations for yours as well.
Yeah.
We'll try and do hopefully if we've got time, we can try and do another one of these before the year's out. Maybe we can do like just a 2017 year in general chat. Mm-hmm. Is that all right?
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen a lot less from this year than you have, but I'll have a few thoughts, I'm sure.
Yeah, or just like it doesn't have to. They don't have to be like movies that came out this year. Just maybe movies you discovered this year, or your year as a YouTuber, like that, stuff, ups and downs, all that kind of stuff. But I'll see you guys. Is this entire video going to be uploaded to your channel? Yes. Okay, you guys should try and do a collab with Jelly Bean Nose. She hasn't done a movie review for a while, but she is awesome. All right. I'm always open to collaborating with more people.
She's got a lot of subscribers.
Has she? What does she do?
She does a lot of Korean cultural stuff, like she does a lot of K-pop dance routines and stuff like that, and then she does occasional movie reviews and stuff like that.
She's probably got 1 million subscribers or something like that.
Yeah, she's got a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and just judge by what I've had to experience from reaching out to bigger YouTubers. They don't give a shit. I could be wrong, but in general, most of them will look at somebody like me or Eric and be like, it's not worth my time, but I could be wrong. Maybe she will surprise us and be like, yeah, sure. But I will definitely reach out to her and send her an email. I've contacted quite a few people, even people, like I mentioned this in a rant video recently. Like I've reached out to people that don't really have that many more subscribers than I do, maybe like 15 to 20,000, and they haven't even returned my emails. So I don't know, people are weird. Some people are like really enthusiastic, and then a lot of people are like, it's not worth their time, or they just don't bother replying, and which is a shame, because I think, you know, there's a lot that can be said, and I like getting different perspectives and hearing different thoughts, but I would definitely reach out to her. The problem is with these bigger YouTubers as well, like they're not like Eric and I, where we've got enough subscribers that we can get back to them and respond to comments and respond to emails. If you've got 100,000 people, or 500,000 or 1 million, if you've got 1 million subscribers, there's no way you're interacting with them. You just couldn't.
No.
There'd be just way too much. And you know, as much as I'd like to have a bigger audience, I don't think I'd ever like to get to a stage where I couldn't interact with people, because it would be really kind of pointless, to be honest. All right, let's leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me, Eric. Yeah, we'll definitely try and organize one of these closer to the end of the year if we're both free. Thank you everyone for watching. This will be uploaded to the channel from what I understand. In the past, what YouTube does is this goes out live and it records it, and then maybe in a couple of hours, once it's done processing, you'll be able to access it and enjoy hearing our sweet heavenly voices for 3 hours. But all right, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.
See ya.